Chapter 205. Everyone searched around the stone spirit turtle, but there was nothing except this turtle. Clang, clang, clang. Han Fei suddenly knocked on the turtle shell, making the sound of metal colliding. In an instant, Luo Renquang and Zhang Xuanyu ran dozens of meters away. Xia Xiaochan turned invisible, and Luo Xiaobai quickly retreated. Zhang Xuanyu was shocked. Han Fei, are you crazy? What if you wake it up? Luo Renquang complained. Han Fei, let's stop knocking. We can still study it. Han Fei was speechless. Study it? Look at how it's sleeping. It's been sleeping for hundreds of years. Feel it carefully. It's breathing spiritual energy even when sleeping. With that said, Han Fei continued to knock. He was also studying where the rugged stones on this turtle came from. They were quite hard. He wondered if he could knock some of them off to make weapons. Clang, clang, clang. Han Fei knocked off a stone, which felt a little heavy. He didn't know what kind of stone it was, but he threw it in to forge the universe first. Then Han Fei ran to the turtle's head. There was a smaller stone on the turtle shell here, which looked a little better than the stones on the turtle's body. Just when Han Fei was about to knock the stone off, he saw a head slowly sticking out of the turtle shell. Human, don't disturb my sleep. Shoot! Han Fei jumped back a few meters. That scared the hell out of me. This turtle can talk? Not only Han Fei, but Zhang Xuanyu and the others also shivered and quickly took a few steps back. Luo Xiaobai's face changed greatly. Han Fei, come back. Psst, psst. This may be a turtle. Xia Xiaochan curiously stuck out her head and stared at the big turtle. Han Fei coughed. The stone spirit turtle fully stuck out its head and said feebly, "Humans, let's go. I'm going to sleep." Everyone, Zhang Xuanyu said leisurely, this turtle seems a little tired. Han Fei rolled his eyes. Well, Master Turtle, what are you doing? Why are you lying here? Han Fei had seen the hexagon starfish before, so he only panicked at the beginning and then calmed down. Now that the stone spirit turtle was lazy, Han Fei felt that it might be comparable to the stone spirit crab. The stone spirit crab hid in the corner and pretended to be a rock, while the stone spirit turtle lay here and slept. It made sense. The stone spirit turtle said slowly, "Lie on your stomach and sleep." Han Fei was lost for words. "Mr. Turtle, you can sleep anywhere. Why are you sleeping here?" The stone spirit turtle said lazily, "How would I know? I fell asleep, and when I woke up, I was here. Anyway, it's just changing a place to sleep. It doesn't matter." Everyone, Han Fei carefully leaned forward and sat in front of the turtle's head. "Mr. Turtle, do you know what this place is? We just met an Uncle Turtle on the other side, but it didn't seem very friendly. It kept shooting water arrows." The stone spirit turtle turned its head slowly and looked at Han Fei with its big eyes. "It always disturbs my sleep. I don't want to move. I'm too lazy to care about it." Han Fei felt that he couldn't hold it anymore. "You really are a fucking tortoise, sleeping for nearly 1,000 years. Mr. Turtle, here's the thing. We're lost. Do you know how to get out of this place?" The stone spirit turtle slowly straightened its head again. "I don't know. I don't want to go out. When are you leaving?" "I'm going back to sleep." "There's no hurry. You've been sleeping for hundreds of years. It's not bad to get up and stretch your muscles occasionally. Maybe you can make a breakthrough after you move a little." The stone spirit turtle wanted to shrink its head again and said slowly, "Why should I make a breakthrough? I'll make a breakthrough when I sleep." Han Fei? Han Fei was speechless. "Can't we just have a pleasant conversation? What do you mean you'll make a breakthrough when you sleep? You've been sleeping for nearly 1,000 years and you're only level 39. Is it embarrassing?" Han Fei tried to be patient. "Mr. Turtle, look at the array under your feet. Let me tell you, someone has sealed you. If you move a little, you'll break the seal. In this way, you can find a comfortable place to sleep. For example, you can find a beautiful coral bush. When you wake up, you can see colorful corals. When you're hungry, as soon as you open your mouth, small fish will run into your stomach. Wouldn't it be more comfortable to sleep?" The stone spirit turtle didn't shrink its head anymore. It glanced at Han Fei. "I'm tempted, but I don't want to move. Can you move the corals to my side?" Han Fei was speechless. Xia Xiaochan and the others were also speechless. How could there be such a turtle? You want me to move the corals to your side for you to sleep? Look at how beautiful you are. Seeing that there was hope, Han Fei struck while the iron was hot. Mr. Turtle, think about it. Just move a little and break the seal. We'll take you to a coral bush immediately. You don't know, there is a coral bush only a few thousand kilometers away from here. It's as beautiful as a fairyland. I saw a lot of turtles sleeping there. The stone spirit turtle was suspicious. Really? Han Fei patted his chest. Of course it's true. Let's not take the one next door that spits water arrows. It will disturb your sleep. Zhang Xuanyu and the others were speechless. Anyone with a bit of intelligence wouldn't believe it. How could there be so many turtles sleeping in the coral bush? But this stone spirit turtle believed it. The stone spirit turtle was suspicious. Can I move a little? Han Fei was overjoyed. Okay, move a little and climb out of the array on the ground first. The stone spirit turtle nodded. Then get out of the way. Han Fei hurriedly ran dozens of meters away and said expectantly, Mr. Turtle, the coral bush is waiting for you. You can eat fish, shrimp, and crabs as soon as you open your mouth. Occasionally, a female turtle will pass by. Maybe something indescribable will happen. Think about it. This is your motivation. Everyone looked at the sky, and Zhang Xuanyu looked at the stone wall. Lu Renquang fiddled with the armor box. Luo Xiaobai blushed, and Xia Xiaochan glared at Han Fei. The huge body of the stone spirit turtle moved. The moment it raised its limbs, the whole water surface suddenly surged, and the underground array flickered. Boom! As soon as the stone spirit turtle took a step, the earth shook, and the stone wall behind them began to move. The stone spirit turtle took 2 steps, and an invisible shield suddenly appeared in front of the stone spirit turtle. Bam! The stone spirit turtle took another step forward, and the spiritual energy shield began to shake. Han Fei was shocked. What kind of array is this? Isn't it too powerful? Can I learn it as a spirit gatherer? Although he was shocked, Han Fei was shouting, Mr. Turtle, you're only 1 step away from victory. Come on, oh yeah, bam, bam. The entire stone forest was shaking violently. But Han Fei was very excited, which meant that a big event had been triggered. If the stone spirit turtle could really come out, would he be able to find the treasures in the stone forest? Suddenly, the stone spirit turtle lay down and said feebly, I can't go out. Forget it, I'm not going. Everyone, Han Fei was stunned. Don't. Mr. Turtle, you're only half a meter away from victory. You can't give up. The stone spirit turtle said unhurriedly, I remember now. It seems that a stick was stuck here before, and we can't go out until we pull that stick out. I don't want to move. I'm too tired. Han Fei frowned. Stick? The stick? Where is it? The stone spirit turtle said, I don't know. I seem to have hit a bit of it just now. Go and find it. Call me when you find it. You have to take me to the corals. Han Fei said righteously, no problem. I'll take care of it. Xiaobai, hurry up and find a stick. It must be in a place with the most abundant spiritual energy. Luo Xiaobai's face was black. Didn't we agree to call it Xiaobai? Why did it become Xiaobai again? Han Fei, however, didn't care. He was very excited at this moment. 1 stick was suppressing 2 turtles. Not to brag, this was definitely a ridiculously awesome stick. This was definitely the treasure of the stone forest, treacherous land. When Han Fei and the others looked back, the stone wall was surprisingly connected into lines and turned into channels. Han Fei was stunned. When did it change? Everyone had a dumbfounded look on their faces. They had only heard him bragging just now. Who knew when he had changed? Maybe it was when the stone spirit turtle hit the seal. Cell phone website. Chapter 206. In the outside world, Wenrenyu's face changed. When the stone forest shook, she instantly went from the surface to the bottom of the sea. Wenrenyu frowned. The reason why she didn't stop Han Fei and the others from exploring the stone forest was that this place was a maze. She knew that this was an ancient array set up by someone. But the point was that this array didn't hurt people. In the past, People died here because most of them were suffocated to death. Just then, someone came out of the stone forest treacherous land. But Luo Xiaobai had air. Plants wouldn't care where you were. As long as there was land, vines could grow. Even when they reached a certain level, they didn't need land. Therefore, Wenren Yu felt that it was only a matter of time before Han Fei and the others came out. She was even prepared to laugh at them after they came out, to stop them from searching for treasures, and to tell them that not every place in this ocean had treasures. But now, the seal was shaking, and the entire stone forest was moving, which was completely different from what she had expected. Wenren Yu frowned, and hundreds of sword grasses appeared around her and shot out horizontally, trying to break the seal on the stone forest. But she was too careless. The stone forest only allowed people below the dangling fisher realm to enter. She wanted to enter, but she couldn't. Bam, bam, bam. Above the stone forest treacherous land, a layer of rippling boundary appeared. When the swordgrass bombarded it, it only caused a few ripples. There wasn't even the slightest tremor. Damn it. Wenren Yu swam above the stone forest, but this barrier seemed to have the ability to block her sight, and she couldn't see through it at all. At this time, Wenren Yu remembered something that Old Bai once said. In terms of weirdness, the stone forest was comparable to the fiery mountain, and it was far stranger than the deep-sea jungle. Below, Han Fei and the others were moving forward along the passage. This time, there were almost no obstacles, and the road ahead was smooth. Everyone was very excited. Zhang Xuanyu said with a smile, Han Fei, why didn't I find that you were so good at bragging before? Lu Renkuang echoed, yes. I almost believed it. Han Fei rolled his eyes at them. What do you mean by bragging? I'm telling the truth. Isn't sleeping in the coral bushes better than sleeping in this stone forest? Zhang Xuanyu, that's true, but when it comes to your mouth, it's just boasting. He even wanted to find a female tortoise. Let me tell you, this tortoise can even speak, so it's definitely not an ordinary character. You want to see the second one? Difficult. Xia Xiaochan suddenly asked, do you think the water arrow turtle can talk? Luo Xiaobai shook her head. This black tortoise should be a special species, perhaps even more magical than exotic creatures. Han Fei thought to himself, I can't tell you that its name is Stone Spirit Turtle and it's only exotic. It might be a coincidence that he could speak. Wasn't it the same as the hexagon starfish he had met before? Although the hexagon starfish was a mysterious species, since it could speak, it meant that there were many other species in the sea that could speak. Therefore, he wasn't surprised that the stone spirit crab could speak. Everyone searched for a path and quickly moved forward. An hour later, they finally arrived. However, when everyone arrived, they found that there was only a bulging mound of earth. A stick full of stones was inserted into a big mound of earth. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Be careful. Look at the ground. There were complicated carvings on the ground, which were not obvious but very weird. Gulp. Lu Renkuang said in shock, is this someone's grave? It can't be. Why do we always run into places where people are buried? Without saying anything, Zhang Xuanyu stepped forward. Grave? What grave? As long as the stick is pulled out? Zhang Xuanyu tried hard but failed to pull it out. He said awkwardly, don't panic. Let me try. Rise. Spiritual energy surged in Zhang Xuanyu's hands, and a huge force was exerted on the stick, causing the seawater around him to tremble, but the stick still didn't move. Lu Renkuang said straightforwardly, so, you just didn't pull it out? Seeing that he seemed to be despised, Zhang Xuanyu said unhappily, you can do it. Lu Renkuang waved his hand. You can't. In terms of strength, only Han Fei and I can do it. It's easy for me to pull it out. Seeing that there was no danger, Lu Renkuang became bold. He threw away the armor box and began to pull out the stick. Huh. Rise. Zhang Xuanyu watched the show from the side. Well, it's so easy. Lu Renkuang was so embarrassed that he immediately patted his armor box. Rampage. He sat on the ground with a thud, unable to pull the stick out. Instead, a piece of stone fell off the stick, revealing the dark body of the stick. Luo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. It trembled. Zhang Xuanyu said, okay, I just tried. This stick seems to be stuck by something, or it's a bit heavy. Don't you think about it? How can a rod that can suppress the stone forest sinister seal be simple? Han Fei rubbed his hands. Come on, let me try. Let's make it clear that the stick belongs to the one who wins. Lu Renkuang didn't care. I don't use a stick. You two can fight for it. Zhang Xuanyu said indifferently, no way. I've seen it. There must be another way to win. Han Fei stepped forward, not caring if there was another way. It was normal for men to compete with each other in strength. Since everyone else has pulled it out, it would be rude if I didn't. Han Fei gathered spiritual energy between his hands and rose. When Han Fei exerted his strength, the seawater around him surged, and the veins on his hands and neck bulged. After a while, there was no movement. Zhang Xuanyu said telepathically, that's enough. This stick can't be pulled out? Fuck. Everybody was shocked to see that the stick seemed to be lifted a little. Xia Xiaochan said leisurely, so, you are not as strong as Han Fei. Han Fei thought of something and roared, attach. Then, the 7 chains behind him clasped the stone stick tightly. Rumble, the seawater was surging, the ground was shaking, and the walls were shaking slightly. Seeing that the stick was pulled out more, Han Fei roared again, rampage. Rumble, a loud noise came from under his feet, and the ground trembled violently. Han Fei, however, staggered with the stick in his hand, his face flushed. Luo Xiaobai said, Han Fei, get out of there. Han Fei fell to the ground, and his hands were barely able to move. Han Fei held his breath and said, I want to leave too. But this stick is too heavy. Han Fei was shocked. In his full state, all kinds of strength were superimposed. In terms of strength, he was confident that he was stronger than regular dangling fishers. He had the enhancement of the indestructible body. But now, he couldn't even lift a stick? Holding the stick, Han Fei said, is this the golden cudgel? There was no telling if it was intentional or not, but the mound under Han Fei's feet broke apart. Han Fei fell down together with the stick. Han Fei, shocked, everybody hurried to go forward, but the vines that Luo Xiaobai tied Han Fei earlier were torn apart. The rumbling continued, and the ground was cracking and shaking. Everybody was pushed back by an invisible force the moment they approached Han Fei. But before they charged forward again, they saw that the mound was broken, and an enormous steel slowly rose from the ground. Then, cracks appeared under everybody's feet one after another, and the ground within 100 meters was almost completely shattered. Lu Renkuang swallowed hard. Something's down there. Xia Xiaochan said angrily, of course. Do I need you to feel anything? Even the turtle shell is coming out. Everybody was shocked. Was it a turtle down there? But wasn't the turtle too huge? Only a small part of the turtle shell was exposed, and it was already more than 30 meters in radius. Han Fei. Suddenly, Zhang Xuanyu waved his hand in surprise. Everybody saw that Han Fei was sitting on the turtle shell next to the steel, holding the stick and blushing. Han Fei said telepathically, I'm fine. I'm fine. Don't come any closer. Although Han Fei said that he was fine, he was actually quite panicked. The data in his eyes almost made him pee his pants. Rock-holding turtle natural spiritual turtles carry mysterious steels that are as heavy as mountains and engraved with patterns that cannot be seen by the naked eye. Chapter 207. When the rock-holding turtle completely broke out of the soil, not just Han Fei, but everyone else panicked. If the water arrow tortoise and the stone spirit tortoise were considered big fellows, then this rock-holding tortoise was a supergiant tortoise. The tortoise shell was nearly 100 meters long. Human, did you let me out? The rock-holding turtle spoke. It wasn't just a voice transmission, but a voice. Although it spoke in the water, everyone could hear it clearly. Gudu. Han Fei swallowed and said, Hey, senior rock-holding turtle, how are you? Han Fei really wanted to chop those people who spread false rumors. Didn't they say that someone had seen the rock-holding turtle? Didn't they say that someone had obtained an opportunity from the rock-holding turtle? Didn't they say they were all liars? Except for a brief introduction, all the information was filled with question marks. Han Fei hadn't seen many of them yet. Except for the first time when he entered the water and saw the sea flood dragon. At that time, the sea flood dragon was more than 10 levels higher than him. He could at least tell the level and quality of the sea flood dragon. But this one couldn't see anything except for the introduction. More importantly, even the demon purification pot couldn't absorb the spiritual energy of this turtle, which showed how terrifying it was. Needless to say, this rock-holding turtle was at least level 50 and couldn't be lower. Luo Xiaobai and the others were shocked to hear Han Fei's name. So this was a rock-holding turtle? But it didn't match the rumors. Zhang Xuanyu secretly said to Lu Renkuang, "Your second contractual spiritual beast has appeared." Lu Renkuang? Hardly had Zhang Xuanyu finished the voice transmission when the rock-holding turtle turned around and glanced at him, which made Zhang Xuanyu panic. The rock-holding turtle opened its mouth. "He can't make a contract with me. The moment he makes the contract, he will explode and die." Zhang Xuanyu was shocked. What the hell? Could it even hear a voice transmission? What kind of rock-holding turtle was this? Those damn liars had seen a rock-holding turtle before? What the fuck? Zhang Xuanyu said weakly, "Say, Senior, I was just kidding." Han Fei was still sitting on the rock-holding turtle with the rod in his arms, stunned. The rock-holding turtle said, "I don't like that stick. It has suppressed me for too long." Han Fei raised his eyebrows and immediately threw the rod into Forge the Universe. But the moment he threw it, he felt incomparably obscure. At that moment, tens of thousands of points of spiritual energy were consumed. Han Fei smiled bitterly. "If you don't like it, you should have told me earlier. If you had told me earlier, I would have put it away long ago. I don't know where this rod came from. If only it was the Jingu Bang. One for Monkey, one for me. Monkey King is called the Great Sage equaling heaven, and I am called the Great Sage who overturns the seas." Seeing that the stick was gone, the rock-holding turtle stomped on the ground and opened its mouth, shattering the stone wall in front of it in an instant. Zhang Xuanyu swore to himself, "In the future, I'll definitely kill that guy who spread rumors. People will die, you know?" When the rock-holding turtle crawled out of the pit, the earth shook and the mountains shook. Monstrous waves were set off in the sea above the entire stone forest mystery land. On the surface of the sea, within a radius of several thousand li, it was covered in clouds and rain. At the same time, a beam of light shot into the sky. Then, it burst into the shape of a word. Everyone wanted to see it, but as soon as they saw it, they burst into tears. The light was so dazzling that ordinary people couldn't look at it directly. Many people in the level 2 fishery saw it and were very excited. Someone roared, "An amazing treasure has been born." Opportunity, it's an opportunity. Some people who were fishing directly put away their fishing poles and drove their fishing boats forward at full speed. For a moment, the entire level 2 fishery went crazy. The dazzling light was seen by countless people and they were all rushing to hunt for treasures. Under the water, Wenren felt the unusual movement. She had been wandering here for a long time. The continuous tremors made her heart a little unbearable. If these 5 treasures died, the Thug Academy would really have no hope at all. At the moment when the rock-holding turtle was born, the water was enveloped in an extraordinary splendor. Wenren appeared right above Han Fei and the others almost instantly. For some reason, the scene under the seal that she couldn't see clearly before was now transparent. Wenren saw Han Fei sitting on a huge turtle, and Luo Xiaobai and the others were all looking at him stupidly. Wenren said, "Han Fei." She shouted and attacked the seal with thousands of sword grasses around her. Wenren was shocked. Carrying a steel? Is this the legendary rock-holding turtle? The rock-holding turtle slightly raised its head. "You can't come in. Wait for me for a moment." Wenren raised her eyebrows. "It can talk? It's of a very high quality." In the next moment, the sword grasses were blocked by the seal, but the ripples became more intense, but they still couldn't be broken. Wenren said, "Senior Rock, please don't hurt my disciples." The rock-holding turtle didn't respond. In fact, Wenren voice couldn't penetrate the seal. At this moment, the rock-holding turtle looked at Han Fei and the others and sighed. "I don't know whether it's fate or not, but since you released me, come on my back. You can leave after an hour of viewing the steel." Hearing this, everyone was shocked. They had already seen the big steel behind the rock-holding turtle. Han Fei was sitting in front of the steel and seemed to be fascinated. The other four looked at each other and without saying a word, they immediately stepped forward. Not to mention whether or not the rock-holding turtle could kill them, even if it wanted to, it could kill them with a breath. Didn't they see that the 1,000-meter-tall stone wall was blown to pieces by the rock-holding turtle? Han Fei was reading the steel at this moment, but because of the demon purification pot's reminder, he couldn't see it with the naked eye and had to read it with his mind. So, at the beginning, he just glanced at it and found nothing on it. Then, he just stared at the center of the steel without looking at it with his eyes. As he stared, the steel in his eyes turned into a black brick. It was like staring at a white wall for a long time, and everything else nearby would be hidden, leaving nothing but whiteness. Han Fei vaguely sensed something different. He seemed to see something moving on the steel, but it was very fuzzy. The more he concentrated, the more fuzzy the steel became. After a long time, the fuzzy picture in Han Fei's eyes suddenly became clearer. And Han Fei didn't seem to be on the back of the rock-holding turtle anymore, but in a chaotic ocean. He saw an extremely terrifying scene. There were waves hundreds of thousands of meters high, and there seemed to be only one terrifying wave left between the sky and the earth. There seemed to be a figure on the huge wave, but Han Fei couldn't see it clearly. In the overlapping waves, it was very fuzzy. Han Fei wasn't even sure if it was a person. But in the sky, he saw a person. This person was tens of thousands of meters high, reaching out and stabbing a stick straight down, as if he was going to stab into the wave. Han Fei saw that as the stick left his hand, it fell like a meteorite, rubbing against the atmosphere and causing dazzling sparks. A huge and intimidating air wave was ignited in the void. At the moment when the stick touched the seawater, Han Fei's breathing became rapid, his mind was shaking, and it became difficult for him to breathe. The huge wave was hit by the stick, leaving a huge semicircular pit. Turbulence surged in the pit. At this moment, even the air between heaven and earth seemed to be trembling. Han Fei's head was tingling, and he had a splitting headache. It was also at this moment that Han Fei's eyes changed. One black and one white, they seemed to be resisting this boundless pressure. At this moment, Han Fei woke up with a start. Even in the water, he still felt sweaty. Han Fei was instantly woken up, and there was a bloodthirsty impulse in his eyes. He didn't know when he had fused with little black and little white. If there were any enemies around him at this moment, he would have killed them. But at this moment, Han Fei's eyes fell on the giant steel. In his yin-yang divine eyes, there seemed to be patterns on the giant steel. Upon a closer look, it turned out to be a strange painting. Han Fei didn't know what the painting was about, but this picture was deeply engraved in his mind. Yin-yang divine eyes? The rock-holding turtle was slightly surprised. At this moment, data appeared in Han Fei's eyes. God-scaring painting, venerable level, divine quality, note, a painting that nurtures life. Daily visualization can consolidate the soul. Disadvantages, none deduced art, unknown deduction cost, 100000000 cell phone site. Chapter 208. Xia Xiaochan and the others felt a tremor in their bodies, and then they woke up with a start. They were all at a loss and shocked. Han Fei even saw shock on their faces. He wondered if they had seen the terrifying attack on the steel too. It was too strong. For the first time, Han Fei felt that there was such a terrifying existence in this world. The rock-holding turtle said solemnly, "Leave now. This place will collapse in case you get hurt." Han Fei and the others got off the back of the rock-holding turtle, and the seawater began to shake again. Spiritual energy was gathering, and a certain tide seemed to be rising underwater, pushing Han Fei and the others out. Cracks appeared on the stone walls as if they would collapse at any moment. Luo Xiaobai's face slightly changed. "It's an energy riot. Let's go." Zhang Xuanyu was dumbfounded. "Where should we go? This is a maze." Han Fei had already started running. "Let's go to Mr. Turtle. It's too lazy to find a way out. We can use it to block the danger." Everybody looked at Han Fei. What a smart young man. Everybody ran as fast as they could. Behind them, some of the stone walls were already falling apart. The poor stone spirit crabs that were pretending to be stones were crushed. Many of them were crushed to death before they knew what happened. On the stone spirit turtle's side, when they ran to it, it seemed to have fallen asleep again. Lu Renquang was shocked. Fell asleep? Isn't this guy too careless? Han Fei was about to go forward, when Luo Xiaobai said, "Wait, spiritual energy is gathering here too." Everybody was stunned. That's right. The spiritual energy on the rock-holding turtle's side was too intense, and this side was unremarkable. At this moment, spiritual energy was also surging and gathering on the stone spirit turtle's side. A moment later, Han Fei saw sword grass branches falling above his head. He asked in surprise, "Master?" The seal was fading. Although Wenren couldn't come in for now, the sword grass branches had. Wenren said telepathically, "Let's go. The seal here is about to be broken. I'm afraid it's dangerous." When Wenren spoke, the stones on the stone spirit turtle were falling apart, and its body was covered in a layer of spiritual energy. Zhang Xuanyu exclaimed, "Is it making a breakthrough?" Bam, bam, bam. The stone wall behind him had already begun to shatter on a large scale. Some had even directly exploded, and the spiritual qi was violently surging. From above, Wenren said, "Find a place to hide." "Who cares? Hurry up and hide under Mr. Turtle's shell." Just after everyone hid, the spiritual energy completely rioted. Han Fei, on the other hand, clasped his hands under the stone spirit turtle's shell, and the demon purification pot on his wrist was flickering, crazily absorbing the turbulent spiritual energy that came out of nowhere. Not long after, an astonishing wave of water swept over. The water was completely turbid. Rocks were flying everywhere, and all kinds of bubbles, mud, bones, and pieces of the stone spirit crab were surging. Everyone held onto the stone spirit turtle tightly. Even so, the stone spirit turtle, as big as it was still slowly moving and sliding to the side. Boom! With an explosion, the 5 of them vomited blood almost at the same time. The sound was so loud that it almost deafened them. "Sai, what's wrong now? Why am I awake again?" "Mr. Turtle, the seal has been broken. You hold on and block for us." The stone spirit turtle said unhurriedly, "Oh, have you pulled out the rod?" Han Fei and the others were speechless. "Master, why do you still care about the rod at this time?" "How did I make a breakthrough?" The stone spirit turtle was a little stunned, but Han Fei and the others were even more stunned. "Don't you know how you made the breakthrough? Don't you know how much spiritual energy has been poured into your stomach?" Zhang Xuanyu said to Han Fei via voice transmission, "Han Fei, cut the crap. Absorb quickly. The spiritual energy is in a frenzy. It's a good time for us to cultivate." Han Fei was stunned. "You still have time to cultivate in this situation?" Zhang Xuanyu nodded. "Absorb as much as I can. I feel that this moment is comparable to months of hard cultivation." Luo Xiaobai scolded, "Shut up and focus on absorbing spiritual energy and polishing your body." Han Fei thought to himself, "I have nothing to polish. If I want to temper my body, I'll probably be struck by lightning. I'd better absorb spiritual energy." About a quarter of an hour later, the surging spiritual energy gradually disappeared. When they opened their eyes again, there were no stone walls. They were all raised to the ground. The stone forest had completely become a pile of rocks. Xia Xiaochan pointed to the distance and said, "Look, is that a rock-holding turtle?" Everyone looked at it, only to see a golden spot. Because it was a little far away, they couldn't see it clearly, but it seemed a bit similar. In front of the golden light, a huge vortex appeared. Before they could observe it carefully, the rock-holding turtle seemed to have drilled into the vortex, and then nothing happened. The entire stone forest almost fell silent in an instant. Everyone looked at each other in bewilderment. What happened? They wandered in the maze for a long time, only to accidentally destroy the entire stone forest? At this moment, the stone spirit turtle said in a daze, "My home is gone." Han Fei sweated. "Mr. Turtle, I'll take you to find a new home." While Han Fei was talking, a figure appeared in front of them. Wenren Yu exclaimed in surprise when she saw the stone spirit turtle. However, seeing that the 5 of them were all dragging the big turtle, it must be a docile creature. The stone spirit turtle asked, "Another human being?" Wenren Yu asked, "What happened? What did you do?" Han Fei shrugged. Well, teacher, we didn't do anything. We just promised to find a new home for Mr. Turtle in the 1,000 Miles Coral Forest. Wenren Yu? Wenren Yu really wanted to beat them up. Is this how you find a home? He had wanted to grind their spirit, but now, in less than a day, they had destroyed the treacherous stone forest. More importantly, it was the first time that Wenren Yu had seen a rock-holding turtle. She was amazed by the power of this turtle. She didn't know what Han Fei and the others had done to summon such a legendary creature. Wenren Yu said, "Now is not the time to talk. The sea is already rioting. The waves are 1,000 meters high. I've put away the fishing boat for you. Since you're going to the 1,000 Miles Coral Forest, walk underwater." The stone spirit turtle flicked its tail at Han Fei. "Can you carry me on your back?" Pooh! Han Fei was dumbfounded. "Sir, are you kidding me? How big are you? How big am I? Carry you on my back? Just how lazy are you?" Wenren Yu's mouth was also twitching. The others looked at Han Fei sympathetically. "Why did you hook up with this turtle? Now you can carry it yourself. Nobody will help you." Han Fei said, "Sir, I'm just going to swim for a while. But I can't carry you on my back." The stone spirit turtle nodded. "You can." Han Fei shook his head. "I can't." As they talked, they suddenly saw the water arrow turtle swim past 1,000 meters away. When the turtle swam away, it glanced at them and then sped up. Han Fei said, "Sir, she's the girlfriend I found for you. Go chase her, everyone." The stone spirit turtle? The stone spirit turtle was tempted, but it was too lazy. The water arrow turtle swam away in the blink of an eye. It was too lazy to chase it. In the end, under Han Fei's trick, it swam unhurriedly to the 1,000 Miles Coral Forest. On the way, Wenren Yu asked, "Where did you find this turtle? Why is it so lazy?" Everybody looked at Han Fei. Han Fei smiled awkwardly. "We can only come out thanks to Mr. Turtle. It's not a big problem to find a nest for Mr. Turtle." Wenren Yu asked, "Is this a stone spirit turtle? A level 40 stone spirit turtle? Forget it. Whatever. Let's go back to the town after we go up." Immediately, they were unhappy. Han Fei said anxiously, "Teacher, we're going to the deep sea jungle." Zhang Xuanyu echoed, "Yes, teacher, let's find a second contractual spiritual beast for Xiaobai." Lu Renkuang didn't care. "I think it's good to go back." Xia Shaochan glared at him. "Shut up." Luo Xiaobai suggested, "Why don't you go with us, teacher?" Wenren Yu said, "Shut up all of you. You've only been here for a few days. You've been making trouble for me. Did I ask you to come down to hunt for treasures? Lu Renkuang, Luo Xiaobai, you haven't even learned spiritual perception yet, and you're here to hunt for treasures with them? They are talented, but you don't. Don't go back. Some of you can, but some of you can't. Is it embarrassing?" Luo Xiaobai blushed. For the first time in her life, she felt that she was left behind in cultivation. Luo Xiaobai said solemnly, "Teacher, I won't go into the sea until I master spiritual perception this time." Wenren Yu asked, "Little fatty, what about you?" Lu Renkuang looked around and said sullenly, "Then, so will I." Cell phone site. Chapter 209. Han Fei did find a place for the stone spirit turtle to sleep in a coral cave. He had planned to trick the stone spirit turtle into staying at the gate of the fire cloud cave. After all, it was a place where few people could reach even in thousands of years. However, the stone spirit turtle stopped swimming and sank when it heard that it was tens of thousands of kilometers away. In the end, after much persuasion, Han Fei tricked this guy to the coral reefs. The coral cave. Han Fei asked, "Master Turtle, are you sure you don't want to think about it? It's only 10,000 kilometers. If a strong master comes to this coral bush and you are caught, it's not a good thing to be their contractual spiritual beast." The stone spirit turtle lay on the ground and a suction force appeared on its body. Pieces of coral, rocks, and seaweed fell on it. After a while, the stone spirit turtle turned into a large pile of coral. The stone spirit turtle said, "Human, go. I'm going to sleep." Han Fei was speechless. What a heartless girl. She took my kindness for granted. We've been through thick and thin together. Why did it suddenly abandon me? Zhang Xuanyu patted Han Fei's shoulder. Fei, let's go. Let it sleep. It probably won't remember you when it wakes up. Xia Xiaochan sighed. If only most of the creatures in the sea were as lazy as this turtle. Then we could catch them at will. Wenren was speechless at the thoughts of these people. Dream on. The sea is a place where the strong prey on the weak. The stone spirit turtle is just a special case. They returned to the surface of the sea. However, at this moment, the sea was raging and the waves were surging. Even so, Han Fei and the others saw a lot of fishing boats. These fishing boats were setting off for the stone forest. Lu Renkuang sighed. How stupid! I wonder how they would feel if they knew that we met a rock-holding turtle. Speaking of the rock-holding turtle, Wenren suddenly asked, "What did you see on the stone tablet?" The rock-holding turtle said that it gave you an opportunity. Did you get it? Luo Xiaobai was excited. I saw a towering tree in the middle of the sea, hundreds of thousands of meters high, with branches and leaves covering hundreds of thousands of kilometers. Huh! Everyone was stunned. Was there such a big tree? Han Fei raised his eyebrows. Different? He clearly saw someone use a stick to pierce through the raging waves, but Little White saw a tree? Xia Xiaochan said, I saw a fish, 10,000 meters long, swimming among the clouds. It was very lonely. Wenren raised her eyebrows. Is this the so-called opportunity? She naturally believed what Luo Xiaobai and Xia Xiaochan said. However, it was too exaggerated for them to describe it. How could there be a tree that could reach tens of thousands of feet into the sky? How could there be a fish that was tens of thousands of feet long? Lu Renkuang looked at them in shock. Is it really that amazing? But what I saw was a saber technique. I can't describe it. It's just a knife. It floated in front of me and then disappeared. Zhang Xuanyu looked at everyone blankly. I didn't see those things. I felt like I had entered a sea and was being battered by the waves again and again. I almost had a mental breakdown. Lu Renkuang snorted. Then you're really miserable. At least the knives I see won't stab me. Everybody looked at Han Fei, and Han Fei scratched his head. I saw a man holding a stick and piercing through the waves. Han Fei felt that that picture couldn't be described in words. Was it really as simple as piercing through the waves with a stick? That stick penetrated the sky and the earth, and even the sea caved in. That kind of feeling was really mysterious and indescribable. Of course, Han Fei didn't intend to tell them about the God-scaring painting. After all, the rock-holding turtle had always been a legend. Then this painting must have never appeared in the world. Wenren was dumbfounded. Was it really as exaggerated as they made it out to be? A tree tens of thousands of feet tall, a fish tens of thousands of feet tall, and finally a man who pierced through the waves with a stick? Is this bullshit? Wenren said solemnly, no matter what opportunities you got from the rock-holding turtle, don't tell others. You should understand the saying, an innocent man will get into trouble because of his wealth. Luo Xiaobai nodded. Got it, teacher. Wenren said, when the rock-holding turtle appeared, spiritual energy gathered. Many people thought that there was a rare treasure there. You just stay here. When Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang learn spiritual perception, the experience will end. Everybody agreed. Wenren left. She hated teaching students, especially those who liked to make trouble. After Wenren left, they all stared at each other. Lu Renkuang said, well, do you want to practice? Let's exchange our experiences. Go away. It's stormy here. 3 days later, countless treasure hunters returned empty-handed, but not everyone returned empty-handed. Some bold ones dived to the bottom of the sea only to find that the stone forest was gone. As soon as the news came out, everyone was shocked. Their first reaction was not to publicize it, but to search for treasures in the ruins of the stone forest. As a result, some people caught some stone spirit crabs, some pried some stones, and some found some broken weapons from the ruins. Anyway, no matter how broken they were taken out from the ruins of the stone forest. If they sold them, they might be able to make some money. Perhaps the disappearance of the stone forest was leaked, and various versions of rumors began to spread. Therefore, most of the great fishing masters of the entire Blue Sea town were dispatched, hundreds of thousands of people. As a result, the level 2 fishery instantly became lively. At this moment, Han Fei and the others were sitting on the deck and eating hot pot. Luo Xiaobai said, "I seem to have some ideas, but I may need to use my vines." I used the hook as if it were my vines. Then I seemed to feel the space between the fish hooks. But it's still a bit vague. Xia Xiaochan wondered, "Can't you control the seaweed? That's also vision." Luo Xiaobai shook her head. "This is different. I can control 100 meters or 1,000 meters, but not 100 or 1,000 kilometers, so it's just speculation." Han Fei suggested, "Then can you separate your vines? For example, if there is a vine hanging on the fishing hook, can you feel it?" Luo Xiaobai shook her head again. "I can, but I can't. No, I have to go back to fishing." Luo Xiaobai was eager to learn spiritual perception. Luren Kuang, however, mumbled with his mouth full of grease, "I also saw a little vague. But I didn't practice it. When I was fishing, I was thinking about the knife I saw in the giant monument, and then I saw it." Huh. Everyone looked at Luren Kuang. They had always felt that the picture they saw was useless. Maybe there really was such a magical life in the infinite ocean. But it was too far away from them. They just happened to see it. Luren Kuang swallowed a piece of squid meat and said, "I always thought about the knife, and then I felt that it was very easy to control the fishing rod. Sometimes, I feel that throwing the hook is like throwing that knife. Why don't you try throwing a tree?" Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. What you saw was a knife, but what Xiaobai saw was a towering tree. "Can you throw that thing away?" Han Fei pulled Zhang Xuanyu. Hey, you can't throw it away, but you can think about it. Didn't you hear Luren Kuang say that you can see it when you think about it?" Luo Xiaobai's eyes lit up. By the way, was the scene on the giant monument really meaningless? Not necessarily. If it was meaningless, then what kind of opportunity was it? In fact, not only Luren Kuang, but also Han Fei was thinking about it. On this day, he was not in the mood to fish. He was thinking about the shocking blow and the God-scaring painting. Just thinking about it often made him feel refreshed. At this moment, Han Fei saw 6 fishing boats in the sky, pulling a big turtle flying by. The squid meat in Luren Kuang's mouth fell out and he said stupidly, "Isn't that Master Turtle?" Zhang Xuanyu's eyes widened. "Really? Has Master Turtle been found?" Xia Xiaochan said anxiously, "That's too much. Master Turtle just wants to take a nap, but these people don't even let go of an old turtle." Han Fei said angrily, "Damn it, we can't let them take it away. If they take it away, Master Turtle will be dead. Take off, chase." Cell phone website. Chapter 210. The 5 of them, including Luo Xiaobai, were furious. The stone spirit turtle was the cutest turtle they had ever seen, and it had helped them. They couldn't allow it to be captured as a contractual spiritual beast. In the sky, a group of people was shouting. Someone laughed. "We're rich. A stone spirit turtle that has broken through the bottleneck of level 40. If we sell it, we'll have enough food for the rest of our lives." Someone sighed. "Fortunately, it hasn't woken up yet. Otherwise, we might not have been able to catch it." Someone said disdainfully, "There are more than a dozen of us. Why should we be afraid of a stone spirit turtle?" Guys in the sky, let go of the turtle. Han Fei stood on the deck, furious. "Is there a fishing boat chasing us? Are these kids tired of living? How dare they chase us? Don't be careless. A kid who can come to the level 2 fishery is probably not simple. Who cares? Who knows if he's dead? Old Yang, go with him. Our 5 fishing boats can hold him." The stone spirit turtle was very heavy. When one fishing boat broke away, the other 5 fishing boats suddenly sank. However, they still managed to hold the weight of the stone spirit turtle. Where did this kid come from? Are you tired of living? Just at the moment when the other fishing boat approached, vines danced in the air and directly pulled the other fishing boat. Lu Renkuang patted his armor box and drew out his knives and swords. Xia Shaochan flickered and appeared on the other party's fishing boat. Damn! The 3 people on the other fishing boat were shocked. What kind of weird ability was this? Xia Shaochan was ruthless, which everyone knew. But these people didn't know it. One of the middle-aged men raised his knife to block, but in an instant, Xia Shaochan went around to his side, cut his spiritual energy protective cover, and then stabbed deeply into his abdomen. This man didn't even have time to fuse with his spiritual beast before he was crippled. The other 2 were dumbfounded. So powerful? However, before they had time to react, the torrents of knives and swords arrived. With the double attack of Xia Shaochan, the other party only had time to shout, "Fuse!" And then his spiritual energy protective cover was shattered by the sword and saber, and he was instantly covered with wounds. His spiritual beast didn't play any role at all. Their fishing boats crashed, and Xia Shaochan flashed back to the fishing boat. Lu Renkuang retreated. The battle had ended in less than 3 breaths of time. Above, those people were dumbfounded. Someone snapped out of his panic. "Who are you?" "We're from the Black River Chamber of Commerce in the Blue Sea Town." Luo Xiaobai said indifferently, "There are 3 chambers of commerce in the Blue Sea Town, the Linglong Tower, the Colorful Clothes Chamber of Commerce, and the Black River Chamber of Commerce. These people are great fishing masters recruited by the chambers of commerce to seize resources from the sea for these chambers of commerce." Zhang Xuanyu said disdainfully, "Who cares what chamber of commerce they are? They can't take me away." Han Fei shouted at them, "Release the stone spirit turtle, and I'll spare your lives." The faces of the people on the other side were extremely ugly. These youngsters were too strong. They were guessing which academy the prodigy was from. However, regardless of which academy he was from, this was a stone spirit tortoise. Its value was immeasurable. How could they give it up so easily? Seeing that Han Fei and the others had already caught up, the faces of the people of the Black River Chamber of Commerce changed drastically. The other side shouted, "Don't make a mistake. We found this stone spirit turtle first. If you rob us, you'll rob the Black River Chamber of Commerce." Han Fei raised his finger. "I'll give you 2 seconds to think about it. Let it go or not." The other side looked pale and hesitated. Suddenly, only one person stayed on the other fishing boats to control the fishing boat, and the others all jumped onto one boat. They decided to fight, so they couldn't let go of the stone spirit turtle. Fuse. For a time, all kinds of phantoms appeared. Bony spur fish, ironhead fish, mysterious armored tortoise, lightning crab. A total of 12 people fused with their spiritual beasts. Someone on the other side sneered. "Boy, how dare you challenge us with just 5 people? Since you've ruined our plan today, you don't have to go back." Han Fei glanced at Xia Shaochan. "Shall we fight?" Xia Shaochan flashed instantly, and the great fishing masters on the other fishing boats looked around. However, they didn't find anyone. But in the next moment, they only heard a crack, and the iron chain holding the stone spirit turtle broke. The other 4 fishing boats struggled to hold on and were on the verge of collapsing. Crack! Another chain broke. Standing on the turtle shell, Xia Shaochan disappeared again and appeared on a fishing boat with only one person on it. The person who controlled the fishing boat was stabbed in the abdomen and fell straight into the sea. And the other 3 fishing boats finally couldn't hold the stone spirit turtle and began to fall together with the turtle. Han Fei shouted, "Zhang Xuanyu crash, okay. I haven't fought with anyone for a long time." In the eyes of these great fishing masters, Han Fei and the others were crazy. If they fell into the sea from such a high height, even great fishing masters would be injured. If they were besieged by the fish of the level 2 fishery, they would be seriously injured. "Stop, stop," the other side shouted repeatedly, but Han Fei didn't mean to stop at all. He immediately shouted again, "Fight!" Swish, 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 fishing hooks fell on Han Fei's fishing boat one after another, and the blue sea wandering dragon spun around and cut all the fishing lines. Han Fei stepped on the bow of the boat and said arrogantly, "Don't play fancy tricks. It's useless. Now we're robbing this stone spirit turtle. When the two fishing boats were only dozens of meters away from each other, both sides launched attacks. Han Fei had just shot out 7 chains, Lu Renkuang had just put down his armor box, and Luo Xiaobai's vines were about to be launched when the other party's fishing boat shook. Xia Xiaochan had already boarded the boat, stabbed the pilot on the boat, and then destroyed the other party's fishing boat with a heavy stab. Before Han Fei and the others attacked, these people fell straight into the sea. Someone wanted to jump onto Han Fei's fishing boat, but was blocked by Han Fei with a knife. Xia Xiaochan casually appeared behind them. Are you stupid? Do you have to fight a dozen people head-on? Why don't you just let them fall? Everyone, Lu Renkuang muttered. Isn't this a bit too insidious? Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. Haven't you found that Xia Xiaochan is more terrifying than a dozen great fishing masters? Xia Xiaochan turned her head and stared at Zhang Xuanyu. What did you say? No, nothing. I said that you are cute. I have never seen a girl as beautiful and powerful as you. Han Fei slapped his thigh. When did I become so fond of fighting? This is not a good habit. I have to change it. Han Fei still remembered that he wanted to develop his skills in hidden weapons a little while ago. However, after being taught a lesson by Jiang Qin, he almost forgot about it. Xia Xiaochan's method was the right way to win without bloodshed. Zhang Xuanyu controlled the fishing boat to chase down and quickly caught up with the 3 teetering fishing boats. Han Fei shouted at the 3 people on the boat, "Hurry up and land. Do you need my help?" The faces of the operators on the 3 fishing boats turned green. Just now they saw a dozen people fall from the sky with their own eyes. Fortunately, this place was not high, and they were all great fishing masters, so they wouldn't fall to their deaths. But these were a dozen great fishing masters. Couldn't they beat a few kids? The 3 people were angry but dared not say anything. In the blink of an eye, they became the weaker party. What could they do? Of course, land quickly and run away. Han Fei and the others were not in a hurry. At this moment, Han Fei was knocking the turtle shell with a blue sea wandering dragon dagger. Clang, 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 clang. Like knocking a bell, Han Fei knocked it for a full 2 minutes before he finally woke it up. Who is it? I'm going to sleep. The great fishing masters on the 3 fishing boats were all stunned. What did this mean? How could this turtle talk? Lu Renkuang smacked his lips. I'm afraid Mr. Turtle doesn't even know that he has been flying in the sky. Han Fei complained helplessly, Mr. Turtle, you were almost taken away. Look at where you are now. The stone spirit turtle poked its head out and was anxious. Where's the water? Where's the coral? Han Fei sweated. Mr. Turtle, you almost became someone's contractual spiritual beast. Do you know that? Cell phone website. Chapter 211. Han Fei suspected that if it weren't for the seal of the stone forest, this stone spirit turtle would have become someone else's contractual spiritual beast. At this moment, when it found itself hanging in the air, it was only slightly surprised and even asked feebly, Can I sleep if I become someone else's contractual spiritual beast? Han Fei said gloomily, Of course not. They'll drag you out to fight every few days. Are you scared? The stone spirit turtle shrugged. Then forget it. I'd better not become someone else's spiritual beast. Xia Xiaochan couldn't bear it anymore. Big turtle, you're so stupid. If you're caught, you won't be able to sleep anymore. So, you should listen to Han Fei and find a hidden place to sleep. The stone spirit turtle felt wronged. Where can I hide? It's all because of him that I slept so well. Han Fei pointed at himself with his mouth open. So, I'm the bad guy now? Han Fei said gloomily, Mr. Turtle, be reasonable. You see, I saved you this time. You won't be so lucky when we leave in a few days. At this moment, several fishing boats fell into the sea together. When there was water, the stone spirit turtle shook its body and overturned a fishing boat, probably because it exerted too much strength. The other 2 fishing boats didn't overturn, but they drew a semicircle on the sea. The 2 people on the boat had no time to care about anything else. They cut off the chains and ran away immediately. They were great fishing masters, but the stone spirit turtle was above level 40 after all. They couldn't do anything to it. As for the boat that fell from the sky, it was more than half damaged. There were a dozen people on it, but some of them fell into the water and didn't come back up. At this moment, this group of people was controlling the broken boat and rushing at Han Fei and the others. "Little fishes, you will all stay here today." Han Fei said, "Mr. Turtle, look, these are the people who caught you. If I were you, I would have already lost my temper and knocked them over." However, the stone spirit turtle said lazily, "I'm tired. I don't want to move." Han Fei was speechless. "You coward! I saved you for nothing. I can't even count on you to fight." Luo Xiaobai sighed. "Forget it. Fighting is also part of the experience. In the future, we might encounter a situation like today's. Let's give it a try first." On the other side, Zhang Xuanyu, who was originally quite quiet, raised his stick at this moment, and a huge wave of tens of meters was set off. He laughed loudly. "Feifei, today, I'll show you the 7-layered waves in Furious Sea." At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu's aura was rising, and the layers of waves behind him pushed him forward. Luo Xiaobai commanded, "Let's all take action." With that, vines popped out of the water and easily wrapped around the other party's boat. "Pay attention. Kill that manipulator first," someone on the other side roared. At the same time, at least 4 people left the fishing boat. Someone jumped into the water, and when he jumped out again, he stabbed a spear at Luo Xiaobai. Lu Renquang patted his armor box and chuckled. "The spiritual beast of a strip fish is just a dish." After that, a long saber flew out of the armor box and turned into a saber shadow that was 7 to 8 meters long. Lu Renquang said, "Watch carefully, this is my new combat skill. I'm going to call it Wild Slash." Han Fei smacked his lips. "It's terrible to be uneducated. The name is so vulgar that it gives me goosebumps." As he spoke, Han Fei stepped out of the boat, stepped into the air, and 3 blue sea wandering dragon daggers burst out beside him. The purple bamboo rod had been destroyed, but the fishing rod was not. Han Fei held the rod in one hand, and the hook was thrown out like a swimming snake. 3 people attacked from the left and were blocked by Han Fei alone. One of them even tried to resist the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and approached Han Fei directly. But he was careless. At the moment when the blue sea wandering dragon daggers appeared in front of him, the armor, shield, and spiritual energy protective cover on the man's body were directly pierced, and his chest was pierced by the daggers. Seeing this scene, the other 2 hurriedly retreated. But Han Fei's fishing rod had already arrived and hooked one person's feet. Han Fei approached him in 2 or 3 steps, moved his body in the air, and easily avoided the dozens of bone spurs shot out by the other party. Puff! Stabbing the dagger into the man's chest, Han Fei grinned grimly. "A spiritual beast like the bone spur fish may be of some use to you. You don't deserve to be a hidden weapon." Then Han Fei pulled out the dagger and let the man fall into the water. As for the other person, he was already horrified. Why are these teenagers so strong? On the other side, Xia Xiaochan, who had the flash skill, attacked even more easily. With a flash, she directly killed the last great fishing master. At this time, Zhang Xuanyu had just approached the fishing boat. His eyes flashed and he blasted out a soul attack. One of the people on the boat was stunned. The man was knocked flying, vomiting blood wildly. If it weren't for the 2 great fishing masters beside him, he would have died. When Zhang Xuanyu stepped on the waves again, Luo Xiaobai's vines had already woven a large vine tens of meters long. The vines were like whips, smashing down crazily. The deck of the fishing boat was broken, and the 3 of them barely stopped it. But Zhang Xuanyu's 7-layered rod in Furious Sea followed. That wasn't all. Xia Xiaochan sneaked behind a man at some point and stabbed him with a white knife and then came out with a red knife. Han Fei, who was rushing over, happened to see this scene and broke into a cold sweat. Fortunately, he was strong. Otherwise, he wouldn't know how many times he would have been stabbed by this girl. The group of great fishing masters had never seen such a scene before. Someone shouted in shock, "Perfect combination! 7-layered waves in Furious Sea, they are the thug legend." As soon as this person finished shouting, Lu Renquang's torrents of knives and swords arrived. For a time, there were giant vines, swords, waves, and people stabbing each other. These people had been through a lot and tried to resist, but as soon as they came into contact with them, they were crushed in an instant. Bim! The fishing boat disintegrated. In just a few minutes, this group of more than a dozen people was directly crushed. The two fishing boats that escaped were planning to reinforce them. At this moment, they just ran away wildly. How could they still fight? This was the Thug Legend, who had a 100-game winning streak in the Blue Sea Arena and was in the top 100 of the 3 academies. Most of them were junior great fishing masters. It would be strange if they could defeat him. Luo Xiaobai shouted, "Xiaochan, don't kill them." Xia Xiaochan appeared, waved the dagger in her hand twice, and snorted. "I'm not interested in killing junior great fishing masters. I just want to let them know that they are not strong because they have more people." Seeing that there was no space for him to attack, Han Fei returned to the fishing boat, lay on the bow, and looked at the stone spirit turtle. "Master Turtle, let's take you to find a place to sleep. Do you want to come with us?" The stone spirit turtle asked, "Is it far?" "If it's far," Han Fei said bluntly, "do you want to be caught and sent to heaven? At that time, you will be dragged out to fight every other day. That's much more tiring than swimming tens of thousands of miles." The stone spirit turtle seemed to think for a while, and finally said weakly, "Okay then. Human, can you take me with you?" Han Fei, everyone. In the end, Han Fei compromised. Locking it with a chain, they set off for the Fire Cloud Cave. As soon as Han Fei and the others left, the people of the Black River Chamber of Commerce immediately gathered. Everybody climbed onto the last 2 fishing boats, relieved to have survived the disaster. 6 are dead. How can we explain this to them? Someone muttered, "How can we explain this to them? Just say that we encountered the Thug Legend. It's good enough that we can go back alive. They are not ordinary children. They are the seeds of the 4th Academy. Let the Chamber of Commerce find a solution." At the entrance of the Fire Cloud Cave. Now there were no treasures inside. Although there was an earth fire, no one had seen it. But the cave outside the door was indeed very beautiful, with small fish and shrimps, corals and shellfish. It was colorful and very beautiful. Han Fei said, "Master Turtle, you can sleep here. You helped us once and we'll pay you back. I don't owe you anything." The stone spirit turtle directly lay on the ground. "I'm exhausted. I'm so sleepy. You can go now. I'm going to sleep." Xia Xiaochan said angrily, "You big turtle, why don't you appreciate our help? If it weren't for us, you would have become a contractual spiritual beast. Why don't you thank us?" Luo Xiaobai said, "Xiaochan." Xia Xiaochan said angrily, "Humph, that's right." The stone spirit turtle was so sleepy that it almost squinted its eyes. Maybe it felt a little embarrassed. So it shook its body and a black stone fell from the crack of its shell. "Then can I give this to you?" Xia Xiaochan was taken aback. "What is this? A piece of stone?" The stone spirit turtle shrugged. "I don't know. Who stuffed it in my shell when I was a child? Later he didn't come to take it. This is the only thing someone gave me. I can only give this to you." Han Fei stepped forward and patted the turtle shell. "Okay, Master Turtle, go to sleep. Xiaochan is just teasing you." As he said, Han Fei went forward to pick up the stone. "Did someone give it to you?" "I don't think so." Cell phone website. Chapter 212. The stone spirit turtle soon fell asleep. Han Fei and the others were used to it. The stupidest creatures they had ever met were the stone spirit crab and the stone spirit turtle, both of which were called stone spirits. One was deceiving itself, and the other was sleeping all day long. On the fishing boat, Xia Xiaochan pried open the stone with a dagger and found that there was a small box inside. Lu Renquang said in surprise, "Did we find a treasure?" Zhang Xuanyu wondered, "I don't think so. Didn't Master Turtle say that someone stuffed it into its shell when it was a child? How many years ago was it when it was a child? At least 1,000 years ago?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. At that time, the stone spirit turtle was still very weak. It shouldn't be a treasure. Han Fei said, "Open it and you'll know." Crack. As soon as Han Fei said so, Xia Shaochan opened the box, and there was a fish skin map inside. Immediately, Han Fei and Zhang Xuanyu pushed Lu Renkuang away and said in unison, "A treasure map?" Lu Renkuang was very innocent. Why did he become classmates with these two guys? Are they the kind of guys who want treasures more than their lives? I can't afford to offend them. Xia Shaochan was also stunned and spread out the map. Everyone was confused. Where is this? Xia Shaochan wondered. This is not the level 2 fishery, is it? It doesn't even have the dangerous places of the level 2 fishery. Luo Xiaobai nodded. I don't think so. Otherwise, it should at least mark the floating islands. Han Fei agreed. Yes, there are no floating islands, which means that this is not the sea area of the floating islands at all. Since it is not the sea area of the floating islands, it is not the level 2 fishery, let alone the level 1 fishery. Zhang Xuanyu and Han Fei looked at each other again. The level 3 fishery? Just when the two of them were excited, a cold voice came from behind. It is not the level 3 fishery. Teacher? Everyone turned around and saw that Wen Renyu was standing on the deck without them knowing, giving them a fright. Han Fei sweated. It seemed that Xia Shaochan was not the only one who appeared and disappeared mysteriously. Why did these people like to eavesdrop? Wen Renyu confirmed again, it is not the level 3 fishery. Looking at this fish skin map, the area seems not large. Based on the mountain on the map, the whole map seems to be less than 1,000 kilometers, and it should be smaller than ordinary fisheries. Zhang Xuanyu asked, Teacher, can we find it? Wen Renyu thought for a moment. You guys look for it yourselves? Xia Shaochan asked, then why did you come down? Wen Renyu was silent for a while. I'm curious. With that, Wen Renyu flew away with a whoosh. After that, a voice was left in the void. You should practice fishing more. Don't think about treasures all day. There are treasures everywhere. One day, you will get them all. It's just that you don't have the ability to take them now. Everyone, because no one knew where the treasure map was drawn, everyone's interest was immediately dampened. Xia Shaochan threw the box to Han Fei. Put it in your sea-swallowing seashell. Han Fei was lost for words. Have I become a butler now? Everything is thrown to me, Lu Renkuang laughed. You're the only one with a sea-swallowing seashell. Why don't you get one for each of us? It's good to leave it here. It's safe. In the next few days, everyone was really just fishing. However, they didn't use bait to fish. To put it more bluntly, they were using skills to catch fish. Han Fei only persisted for one day before he lay on the deck and fell asleep, which made Lu Renkuang jealous. In fact, Han Fei was studying the God-scaring painting. This painting was imprinted in his mind, extremely clear. Although Han Fei didn't know what this painting was used for, he knew it must be extraordinary from the 100 million points of spiritual energy required to deduce it. This was on the same level as the indestructible body. It was definitely not inferior. Nearly a month later, Luo Xiaobai and Lu Renkuang achieved spiritual perception one after another. And Han Fei, except for when he ate, slept for a whole month. At this moment, a hot pot had been set up on the boat. Lu Renkuang and the other three were looking at Han Fei and discussing. Lu Renkuang asked, has he been infected by Master Turtle? During this period of time, he has been eating and sleeping. I think it's too much. If he goes on like this, he will get fat again. Zhang Xuanyu guessed, he must be thinking about that. I've been thinking about it recently, and I feel that the range of my perception has increased a bit. It's already 1 meter. Xia Shaochan nodded. Me too. I think it's enough as long as I think about that picture. Every time I see that big fish, I feel it's very magical. I still feel so after seeing it countless times. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Is it enough just to think about it? My perception range hasn't exceeded 2 feet yet. Lu Renkuang nodded. Me neither. Han Fei was lost in thought at this moment. More than 20 days ago, when he began to sleep, it was because he discovered one thing. Every time he closed his eyes to think about the God-scaring painting, he would see it very clearly. But every time he opened his eyes and was not in a state of meditation, he could not remember what the God-scaring painting looked like. In the past month, he had been trying to memorize this painting, but so far he hadn't succeeded. Therefore, he used many methods, such as copying, line dismantling, spiritual energy drawing. He tried many methods, but none of them worked. In the end, he found that this God-scaring painting seemed to be disassembled. At first, he disassembled it into 100 pieces and tried for 5 days, but he couldn't even remember one piece. So he disassembled the God-scaring painting into 1,000 pieces, and it took him so long to remember one piece. Don't underestimate this piece of the God-scaring painting. When Han Fei cast the hook, the range of his spiritual perception changed from 5 meters to 50 meters. This breakthrough directly stunned him. It was just a small piece of the picture, but his perception range had been expanded by 10 times. That was not all. Not only could he sense underwater, but he could also sense his surroundings. For example, at this moment, Han Fei could see these 4 guys staring at him, Lu Renkuang occasionally glancing at the hot pot, Luo Xiaobai frowning at him, Zhang Xuanyu bragging, and Xia Shaochan in a daze. Swish! Han Fei suddenly sat up, startling the 4 of them. Zhang Xuanyu said worriedly, Fei, are you okay? Something's wrong with you recently. Han Fei twisted his head, turned over, and sat in front of the hot pot. What's wrong? Do you feel the pressure because I've become thinner? Zhang Xuanyu sneered. Pressure? How can I feel pressure? Are you more handsome than me, or are you taller than me? Han Fei's face darkened. Humph, do you want to fight? Han Fei took the lead to pick up a piece of fish, put it in his mouth, and said as if nothing had happened, let me tell you something. Spend more time thinking about the picture you saw on the giant monument and analyze every detail of it. Luo Xiaobai immediately asked, can it improve your perception? Han Fei nodded. Yes. Xia Shaochan asked, how much did you improve? While eating the fish, Han Fei grabbed the fishing rod and threw it into the sea. About 10 meters. Hiss, hoo, cough, cough. Lu Renkuang spat out the fish in his mouth and looked at Han Fei in shock. How much? Not only Lu Renkuang, but everyone was stunned. They were still a few feet away, at most half a meter away, but Han Fei suddenly jumped 10 meters away, which really shocked them. Xia Shaochan stared at Han Fei. Are you sure? Han Fei smiled awkwardly, wondering if he would be beaten to death if he said 50 meters. Han Fei said, let's eat. Let's talk while eating. Zhang Xuanyu screamed, that's unreasonable. Are you a devil? Xia Shaochan muttered, why am I only 3 meters? No, I have to sleep tomorrow too. Lu Renkuang blinked his eyes. I don't want to talk to you too. That's too much. Han Fei chuckled. By the way, we have actually all learned spiritual perception. The size of the range is just a matter of time. Well, what do you think about the undersea jungle? Lu Renkuang shrugged. Not interested. I want to sleep after dinner. Luo Xiaobai said leisurely, Han Fei, it's your turn to watch the night. Han Fei frowned. You want me to watch the night? Cell phone website. Chapter 213. At night, the sea was not very stormy, but the waves rolled as usual, and the ups and downs were normal. For people who had lived at sea for a long time, it was no different from a peaceful land. Han Fei was fishing alone with a fishing rod, and the other 4 were all sleeping at the moment, frightened by Han Fei's 10 meters. After dinner, they couldn't wait to study the pictures they saw on the giant monument. Han Fei was very bored. He caught a one-line fish, absorbed its spiritual energy, and threw it back into the sea. He caught a squid, absorbed its spiritual energy, and threw it into the sea too. He didn't know how many times he had caught and thrown it. Should I drive the fishing boat to the deep-sea jungle first? Han Fei frowned. If these guys refused to go, he would take them there secretly. When they arrived, he would have to go down. Han Fei controlled the fishing boat, flew into the air, and went straight to the waters of the deep-sea jungle. Behind him, Wenren was furious. This kid caused trouble every day. After a month of peace, he was going to cause trouble again. However, Wenren was also puzzled. Were the pictures Han Fei and the others saw real? Spiritual perception of 10 meters in a month? This speed was terrifying. At first, she went to that place after becoming a dangling fisher and quickly mastered this ability. But now, these teenagers had mastered it in just 2 months. Especially Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan, the speed of these two was so fast that she was shocked. The area of the deep-sea jungle was not as large as the coral reefs, only 300 kilometers. As soon as Han Fei landed, he saw large tracts of seaweed floating on the sea, and some ordinary fish entangled by the seaweed and died. Because there was a lot of seaweed here, the layer of seaweed on the sea was covered with sea melon seeds. In addition to sea melon seeds, there were also all kinds of snails crawling on it. Large conches were not uncommon, and some small crabs the size of a palm were hiding in the seaweed. Han Fei poked at them with his fishing rod and found that the seaweed turned out to have vines, which grew from underwater. The grass vines were thick and thin. The thin ones were mostly sea melon seeds, and the thick ones were many oysters, hermit crabs, and large conches. The others might know where Han Fei drove the fishing boat to, but no one got up. Anyway, Han Fei was on night duty. Where else was more important than cultivation? Han Fei took out his fishing rod, found a relatively good place in the seaweed, and cast the hook down. Han Fei didn't know what to say at this moment. The water was filled with water vines with intertwined roots. He had no choice but to use the slithering snake method to avoid the vines one by one. The difficulty of fishing had increased by more than 10 times. Soon, the hook was 300 meters deep, and Han Fei vaguely saw the jungle at the bottom of the sea. Xia Xiaochan's voice suddenly came to his ears, and Han Fei almost threw the wooden fish in his hand. "You scared me. Aren't you a cultivator? Why did you suddenly wake up?" Xia Xiaochan didn't answer but stared at the fish in Han Fei's hand. "What kind of fish is this? It can even cry." With that, Xia Xiaochan took the wooden fish. As soon as she took it, Xia Xiaochan exclaimed, "Is it made of wood?" Han Fei nodded. "Yes, it's made of wood, a fish that grows on trees." Xia Xiaochan. Han Fei said, "We are above the deep-sea jungle. I just went fishing and caught this kind of wooden fish." Xia Xiaochan looked at Han Fei gloomily. "So, you drove the fishing boat to the deep-sea jungle while we were sleeping?" As if he didn't hear her, Han Fei said solemnly, "This is not the point. The point is that this place is magical. Do you know that the trees at the bottom of the sea are full of this kind of fish?" Xia Xiaochan said disdainfully, "So what? Maybe it's this kind of fish. There are all kinds of strange things in the world. Isn't it just a wooden fish? What's the big deal?" Han Fei chuckled. "That's easy for you to say. In addition to the wooden fish here, aren't the trees strange? At a depth of 300 or 400 meters in the deep sea, there is no photosynthesis. Even if you can grow trees, how can you grow into a jungle? What kind of energy are you absorbing?" Xia Xiaochan picked up the fishing rod. "Let me try." Xia Xiaochan was more curious about the sea willow that Han Fei mentioned. She couldn't imagine what a tree full of fish looked like. After a while, Xia Xiaochan shook her head. "I can't go down. There are too many seaweeds and algae along the way." Han Fei thought for a while. "Let's go somewhere else." After a while, the two of them changed to a place with relatively less seaweeds. After casting the hook this time, the two of them looked at each other, a little surprised. Xia Xiaochan asked, "Did you see a school of fish just now?" Han Fei replied, "No." This time, Han Fei and Xia Xiaochan saw a lot of fish, but most of them were ordinary fish. Logically speaking, most of these fish should live in ordinary fisheries, but now they appeared here in large numbers. Han Fei wandered around with the winding snake technique and found that there was much more biodiversity here than in the previous place. There were sea bath vines up to hundreds of meters high, red, green, and yellow. At the bottom of the sea, there were also a large number of seaweed nests and sea anemones. On the seaweed nests, Han Fei saw many half-meter-long sea urchins, their black bodies full of thorns. Slurp. Xia Xiaochan curled her lips. "Why are you drooling?" Han Fei smacked his lips. "Wait a minute, I found something good." Han Fei controlled the fishing hook and caught a sea urchin in the blink of an eye. He was not worried that this thing could run away at all. Sea urchins were very timid creatures in the sea and couldn't run fast at all. Ordinary small sea urchins in places rich in algae could move 1 meter a day. When there was not much food, they could only move a few centimeters a day. Swish! At the moment the sea urchin was hooked, the sea urchin bristled. The thorns on its body were directly ejected dozens of meters away. Han Fei smacked his lips. If you have the ability, shoot a few hundred meters, I'll count it as your win, but before Han Fei pulled it up, he saw that the ejected thorns, as if hooked by a silk thread, actually returned to the sea urchin. Han Fei was dumbfounded. Fuck, cell phone website. Chapter 214. Han Fei said to Xia Xiaochan, "Wake up the fatty." Xia Xiaochan? When Xia Xiaochan pulled Lurenquang up, he was dumbfounded. What's up? Shield, shield, shield. Take out the shield. Lurenquang took out the shield in a daze and asked, What's wrong? Is there an enemy? Han Fei said, I found a good thing. Help Xiaobai block it too. This thing is a bit prickly. Lurenquang was puzzled. While blocking it with the shield, he asked, What needs a shield? Can't you block it with your body? Han Fei said with a smile, I can, but I don't want to be stabbed. Are you stupid? As Han Fei retracted the hook, a black thing came out of the water after a while. The moment it came out of the water, the steel thorns all over its body exploded with a swish. Howl, who stabbed me? Who? Zhang Xuanyu jumped up. There was a thorn on each of his buttocks and on his back. Lurenquang covered his mouth. I forgot to block it for him. Zhang Xuanyu shook off these thorns with spiritual energy and covered his buttocks with a look of shame and indignation. When he was about to curse, he saw a pair of black thorns shooting at him again. He immediately raised his rod to block them. At this moment, Han Fei flashed his blue sea wandering dragon daggers and cut off all the threads connecting the black thorns. When a black ball was carried up by Han Fei, Zhang Xuanyu ran over angrily. Why do you all have a shield but I don't? At this time, Luo Xiaobai also woke up in a daze. At first glance, she saw the black thorns all over the boat and the black ball in Han Fei's hand. Luo Xiaobai asked, What's wrong? Were we attacked? Han Fei said with a smile, It's okay. I just found something very delicious. It's almost dawn. I can catch it for breakfast. Everyone? Lurenquang chuckled. So, is this why you woke me up? Okay, you can discipline me in the future. Zhang Xuanyu's face was black. Then why don't I have a shield? Han Fei and Lurenquang nodded. I forgot. Zhang Xuanyu. Luo Xiaobai stepped forward and picked up a thorn. Then she asked in surprise, This thorn is very hard. What is it? Sea urchins. Lurenquang said in disbelief, I'm not well educated. Don't lie to me. This thing can be eaten? There are also such things in ordinary fisheries. They're very prickly. Han Fei snorted. We need to see the essence through the phenomenon. Can't we just pull out the thorns? After such a scene, no one was in the mood to cultivate, but Zhang Xuanyu immediately shouted, What is this place? Why is there so much seaweed? Luo Xiaobai narrowed her eyes. Han Fei, did you sail the fishing boat to the deep-sea jungle? Han Fei chuckled. I just have nothing to do. Let me tell you, this place is very magical. There's actually a type of fish that grows on trees. Then he kicked the wooden fish in front of everyone. Lurenquang said, Huh? Oh, it can bend. Wow, this fish is really made of wood. A figure came leisurely, and it was Wenren Yu who stepped onto the fishing boat. Under the shocked gazes of the 5 people, she picked up a piece of sushi, dipped it in vinegar, and put it in her mouth. Wenren Yu swallowed. Han Fei, you will be punished to cook for a month when we go back. Han Fei? Cell phone website. Chapter 215. Everyone was surprised by Wenren Yu's appearance. Didn't she say that they would continue to practice? She just paid attention to them secretly. Why did she show up now? Han Fei said ingratiatingly, Teacher, we've all arrived at the deep-sea jungle. It's not right if we don't go down and have a look, right? Zhang Xuanyu nodded quickly. Yes. Teacher, we're already here. You won't ask us to go back now, will you? Wenren had been eating sushi. After the two of them finished talking, she said faintly, That's why I punished you to go back and cook for a month. And let me tell you clearly, there are actually no treasures in the deep-sea jungle. Han Fei was surprised. Teacher, have you been down there? Wenren snorted. If you want to go down, go. Don't ask me. But this time I'll go down with you. I won't take action unless it's absolutely necessary. Smith. Han Fei and Zhang Xuanyu exchanged a palm strike. It was a success. Wenren shook her head slightly when she saw this scene. But she remembered that she was also curious about these magical underwater worlds. In fact, before coming here, the three teachers had already discussed it. If Han Fei and the others really wanted to go to the sea, let them. As Han Fei said, since they were already here, they might as well teach them a lesson. With Wenren promise, everyone, including Luo Xiaobai, was overjoyed. After a moment, Han Fei said, Fatty, remember to be ready to attack at any time. There are too many seaweeds underwater, and there is a layer of long seaweed at the bottom. Once there are signs of being entangled, attack. Lu Renkuang patted his chest and promised, Okay. However, I don't believe that these plants will be very dangerous. Everyone jumped into the water, and Han Fei and Lu Renkuang held knives and pushed away the seaweed and the wide algae. After diving into the water, no more than 10 meters away, a group of fish and seaweed entangled them. This was expected and no one was surprised. As soon as Lu Renkuang attacked, the seaweed around them was shattered. When they dived 30 meters, there were already shoals of fish. Although they were just ordinary fish, they were still quite powerful. Soon, everyone was surrounded by chopped seaweed and fish. Luo Xiaobai said, Pay attention to those broad-leaved seaweeds. They are extending towards us. The broadleaf seaweed has to be completely crushed. Han Fei recognized this kind of seaweed at a glance. According to the Encyclopedia of Spiritual Plants, this thing was called chiren. Lu Renkuang said, Don't worry. Leave it to me. With a flash of light on his arm, the 1,000-bladed tortoise appeared. In the next moment, the 1,000 blades flew out and rapidly slashed towards the seaweed. However, to everyone's surprise, the seaweed was not cut into pieces. The seaweed curled the leaf into a stick almost instantly. It reminded Han Fei of the mimosa plant. But unlike Starbeck, the sticks didn't show any signs of retreating. The curled leaves were like iron rods as they clashed with the 1,000-blade tortoise's sharp blades. For a moment, hundreds and thousands of seaweed sticks were like tentacles reaching out from the bottom of the sea, waving angrily. Of course, in the end, these seaweed sticks didn't have the upper hand. A considerable number of them were ultimately chopped off by the 1,000-blade turtle. However, to everyone's surprise, the chopped broad leaves unfolded again and turned into long strips of seaweed, sweeping at Han Fei and the others again. One or two were easy to deal with, but when hundreds of broad leaves swept at them at the same time, the area where Han Fei and the others were blocked almost in the blink of an eye. Lu Renkuang's face immediately changed. Don't move. Let me do it. It seems that we have to crush them. Torrents of knives and swords. The 1,000-blade turtle's blades were flying outside, and Lu Renkuang's blades were slashing from inside. Everybody seemed to be involved in a vortex. Of course, the blockade of the broad leaves was soon broken. Luo Xiaobai said, Not good. These broad leaves are releasing an unknown substance that seems to be poisonous. Everybody hurried to crawl out of the blocked area. Wenren appeared behind them and said, First time, if these seaweeds are not regular seaweeds in the level 2 fishery, and if you haven't taken the exotic poisonous fruit and the moon-watching fruit, you will be paralyzed. Then, you will be dragged into the sea by these seaweeds and eventually die. Everybody had a cold sweat on their backs. They had miscalculated. They thought of the situation that Wenren said. If they really encountered these seaweeds, they would all be dead at the beginning of the battle. The others all swallowed. No wonder this deep-sea jungle was known as the second most dangerous place in the Level 2 fishery. Half of the ordinary great fishing masters would be killed by the seaweeds on the upper layer before they could dive deeper. However, this also broadened their horizons and increased their vigilance. The existence of any kind of life at the bottom of the sea was not meaningless, even the ordinary plants such as seaweed and seaweed. The crushed seaweeds left only bare vines and the round food bag at the top. Yes, these seaweeds had food bags, and every food bag was round and bulging. Lu Renquang split one, only to find that it was full of all kinds of digested and undigested fish and bones. Xia Xiaochan immediately swam over and cut off the seaweed food bag, leaving only a bare pole. Zhang Xuanyu knocked the pole with a rod and said to everyone via voice transmission, "It's at least as hard as mortal level, low quality." "It's very hard." Luo Xiaobai said, "Be careful. Don't worry about these vines. We don't need them." Everyone nodded one after another and continued to dive. Perhaps it was because the seaweeds on the upper layer provided cover for the lower layer. After diving for nearly 100 meters, they didn't encounter any danger. Of course, if a school of fish was dangerous, there were schools of fish everywhere. At best, there were only some ironhead fish, swordfish, and striped fish here. In everyone's view, the appearance of these ordinary fish here provided a large amount of food for the plants here. But they also knew that since these fish still came here knowing that it was dangerous, it meant that they could also gain benefits here, benefits that they had to take risks. Soon, everyone seemed to discover the secret of the gathering of fish. Further down, the vines were covered with all kinds of shells. In addition to shells, there were all kinds of conches here. Some conches were even mutated, and their shells could emit a brilliant luster. Xia Xiaochan also picked a few of them. Han Fei saw an orange-red vertically flat fish biting and pulling conches on the vines. When the large unknown object approached, the fish swam and swam downstream. Xia Xiaochan was overjoyed. "I feel that this place is even more beautiful than the coral reefs." Han Fei scoffed. "The more beautiful a place is, the more dangerous it is, just like the more beautiful a woman is, the less trustworthy she is." "What did you say?" He scolded 3 times in a row. One from Xia Xiaochan, one from Wenrenyu, and one from Luo Xiaobai. The 3 of them glared at Han Fei. Zhang Xuanyu smacked his lips. "Fei, don't be so straightforward, okay? You'll be beaten to death." Han Fei blushed. He didn't expect to reveal such a secret. After diving for another 40 to 50 meters, uneven rocks of various heights appeared. However, these rocks had long been covered by seaweed, and some were directly covered by sea anemones. Han Fei saw a cluster of red and white sea anemones, with 10 large tentacles growing out of its body, and countless small tentacles growing out of the large tentacles. The tentacles swayed with the waves, and as soon as a school of striped fish swam by, 3 or 4 were immediately caught. This tentacle caught 3 or 4 striped fish and sent them directly into the hole in the middle of this sea anemone. Along the way, everyone saw the black armored turtle, the red spot squid, the big fish with 2 sharp teeth in its mouth, and the mantis shrimp jumping out with a swoosh to hunt. Of course, they didn't just see them. A school of striped fish wanted to attack Han Fei and the others, but they all fled after being slapped by Luo Xiaobai's vines. They seemed to be afraid of the vines. Lu Renquang was sent flying. When everyone realized what happened, it turned out to be a green mantis shrimp hiding in the seaweed. Lu Renquang was annoyed. "What level are you? How dare you attack me?" With that, he shot out a knife with a swoosh, directly cutting the mantis shrimp in half. Further down, through the arch-like seabed rocks, they saw that the seabed was covered with a layer of shells of clams, scallops, conches, and spider crabs. Yes, a whole layer of shells, almost covering the entire seabed of sand and stones. Xia Xiaochan found a few beautiful shells and directly fell to the bottom of the sea, ready to pick them up. In an instant, a long worm suddenly rushed out of the sand, so fast that it was almost as fast as the mantis shrimp. Xia Xiaochan was so scared that she flashed away. When she took a closer look, she found that it was a sea python, a level 28 green-scaled python. The moment Xia Xiaochan flashed away, she pounced back, put away her knife, and attacked with all her strength, directly cutting the green-scaled python into 7 or 8 pieces. Han Fei said, "As I said, be careful. You'd better not get close to the cracks in the rocks. Let's go forward. There are sea willows over there, covered with wooden fish." Chapter 216. In this world, Han Fei didn't even know if there was a rainforest or where it was. Green forests like the deep-sea jungle were the main source of oxygen. Once there was enough oxygen, the body of the creature would become larger. Han Fei found that the creatures here were generally much stronger. They were also several times larger than the creatures in other places. At this moment, the situation at the bottom of the sea was clear. A large amount of seaweed floated along with the current, like a layer of green carpet underwater. However, this carpet was full of danger. Not to mention other things, just the hundreds and thousands of sea urchins on the ground were enough to make people feel intimidated. 1,000 meters away, there was a sudden explosion. Everyone only saw a ball being hit by something. It was a dragonhead fish that was 4 to 5 meters long. It had sharp teeth and was chasing after the ball. Zhang Xuanyu said in surprise, "Amazing! Didn't they say that this place is very dangerous? Why is this dragonhead fish playing with a ball?" The ball in Han Fei's eyes was not a real ball. Data appeared. Tai Panzhang, it was a rare octopus found in the undersea jungle. It possessed extremely high intelligence, and its octopus eyes were helpful in cultivating ocular techniques. 29 rarity 581 points. Long-term consumption can increase blood and qi. Octopi, when they got closer, they realized that the ball was different. Instead of calling it a ball, it was actually a ball made up of a bunch of seabed shells. Outside the shell, a large number of suckers could be seen. Zhang Xuanyu's expression changed slightly. Octopus? The expressions of the others also changed slightly. Han Fei was very excited. He had been to the sea many times, but this was the first time he had seen an octopus, and it was in such a way. Luo Xiaobai pulled Han Fei. "Don't come any closer." The octopus was a creature that possessed terrifying strength. It was not something that squids and cuttlefish could compare to. Theoretically, octopuses were rarely seen in level 1 and level 2 fisheries because octopuses were too strong. Therefore, every 100 years, there will be a hunting operation. Han Fei was surprised. Operation Hunting Emblem? In Han Fei's impression, octopuses were smart creatures, but they were also timid. How did an octopus become a powerful creature here? As he said that, the ironhead fish bit a corner of the ball. The ironhead fish's body rotated in the sea, which was the fish's normal way of hunting. By spinning, it tore the hunter apart. But why didn't the dragon-headed fish think about the other person's ball? Couldn't the other person turn it? As it spun, 2 tentacles suddenly stretched out and pierced into the gills of the dragon-head fish. In an instant, 2 tentacles turned into sharp thorns and extended from both sides of the dragon-headed fish head. This scene caused everyone's hearts to turn cold. Wenren Yu said indifferently, "This is a trap." The octopus was using itself as bait to hunt. It looks weak, but its strength can easily tear this dragon-headed fish in half. As soon as Wenren Yu finished speaking, the sphere suddenly opened, and a pile of shells fell down. At this moment, its true body was revealed. It was 3 to 4 meters in size. Its tentacles hooked onto the dragon-head fish and it was fleeing into the distance. While running, he glanced in the direction of Han Fei and the others. The great plate octopus seemed to have sensed danger. The moment it escaped, the color of its body began to change from red to green. It dragged the dragon-head fish into the seaweed and disappeared. Xia Xiaochan exclaimed, "This octopus seems quite smart." Lu Renkuang nodded. "It found us a long time ago. Just now, it has been aiming at us. We can't have too many of them. If a lot of them come together, they will be much more difficult to deal with than squids and squids." Luo Xiaobai suggested, "Let's go. This is just the most common place in the seabed jungle. Let's go deeper and see." Everyone nodded, and Wenren Yu shook her head slightly in the back. Sure enough, ignorance is bliss. This group of children was very courageous, just like how they had been in the past. They had also traversed through dangerous places, until the seaweed swayed with the rhythm of the sea current. Han Fei and the others were floating dozens of meters above. Along the way, they passed by one emerald vine pole after another. Occasionally, those sea urchins would shoot out the thorns on their bodies. But everyone reacted faster and could avoid them as long as they moved up a little. Soon, they saw a bamboo forest ahead. Yes, it was a bamboo forest. Green bamboos stood in the sea, and bamboo leaves fell from the bamboo poles hundreds of meters high. Zhang Xuanyu's eyes widened. Is this bamboo? So many bamboo? Han Fei was secretly shocked too. Wasn't this the bamboo rod that He Xiaoyu used? He used to think that bamboo sticks were rare at the bottom of the sea. But here, there were so many of them that he couldn't even count them. Luo Xiaobai stretched out her hand, and the vines swept over. As soon as they entered the bamboo forest, they saw that there were many long insects on the bamboo that were integrated with the bamboo and attacked the vines. Stick insect companion insects attached to bamboo and lived by preying on fish. After they died and fell to the bottom of the sea, they would become bamboo seeds. 22 ordinary 404 points can be used as medicine to strengthen physique. Everyone stopped, and Luo Xiaobai said, "There are too many insects. Let's pass by them." Han Fei said, "Wait a minute." Under everyone's gaze, Han Fei took out a fishing rod and shot it out with a swish. Immediately, a bamboo shoot was hooked back by Han Fei. Everyone? Han Fei continued to cast the hook. Don't just stand there. Natural sea bamboo shoots are absolutely delicious. You can't find them on the floating island. Everyone, Lu Renquang immediately cast the hook and responded, "Fei Fei, you are my idol now. You can think of delicious anything you see. Why can't I think of that?" Han Fei snorted. Do you know what marine creatures value most? Lu Renquang shook his head. Eating. A smile appeared on Han Fei's lips. Most sea creatures work hard for food every day. Therefore, any marine creature, except those that are poisonous, can basically be eaten, but the method of eating needs to be considered. Han Fei, you were born to be fat. Zhang Xuanyu agreed. Yes, you are much more proficient than Lu Renquang. God knows why you have lost weight now. Han Fei snorted. Delicious food can't be wasted. It's fine as long as we eat with good taste. How can we get fat if we eat to satisfy our appetite? Everyone counted on Han Fei for the next month's food. So they all took out fishing rods to hook sea bamboo shoots and didn't stop until they had hooked thousands of caddies. Passing through the bamboo forest, Han Fei and the others had to pass through a rocky place covered with water weeds. They were just about to pass through when a huge whip came across the air. Luo Xiaobai's expression changed. Ambush. The vines were like whips, whipping at the whip. When they saw it clearly, they found that it was a big tentacle more than 10 meters long. At the same time, tentacles were lashing at them from all directions. Luo Xiaobai said, "It's an octopus." Without Luo Xiaobai saying anything, everyone had seen it. An octopus tens of meters long was actually attached to the stone, and its body and the stone had become the same color. Han Fei said excitedly, "Fatty, be gentle. Don't break it. Just kill it and take it to the pot." Lu Renquang was dumbfounded. This octopus would be fine if it encountered him, but if it encountered Han Fei, it would only end up in the pot. However, the octopus's tentacles were suddenly covered with spiritual energy and whipped away Lu Renquang's knives and swords. Luo Xiaobai said, "It's above level 30. Let's cooperate." Deep blue, dozens of vines jumped out from the bottom of the sea and blocked those tentacles. But the flexibility of the vines was much worse than that of the octopus's tentacles. The big octopus quickly bypassed the vines and went straight to Han Fei and the others. The huge suckers looked very creepy. At this moment, it was Han Fei's turn to take action. Several blue sea wandering dragon daggers swept past the octopus's tentacles crazily, and the cold power almost paralyzed the tentacles. Xia Xiaochan's body flashed and she appeared next to the octopus's head, which really scared it. By the time the big plate octopus realized what was going on, the daggers had already pierced into its head. But was an octopus a creature that would die after being stabbed? Obviously not. An octopus had 3 hearts and 9 brains. It was once suspected to be an alien creature. Immediately, many tentacles strangled Xia Xiaochan. But Xia Xiaochan flashed away, leaving the red fire tricky lobster behind. This was the only contractual spiritual beast of the fire attribute among them. The red fire tricky lobster slithered into the big plate octopus's head. Then, everyone saw that the octopus's head was red. Its brain must have been melted. Han Fei quickly said, Hey. Slow down. Don't burn the inside. How can we eat it? Xia Xiaochan, Wenren Yu was at the back, quietly watching this scene. This big plate octopus was really unlucky to encounter Han Fei and the others. If it encountered an ordinary great fishing master, it might have been killed by it, but it encountered Han Fei and the others. Han Fei suddenly looked at Wenren Yu. Master, do you have enough sea-swallowing seashells? Chapter 217. Wenren Yu suddenly found that she seemed to have become a bag carrier. Yes, on their way, Han Fei and the others had hunted the great plate octopus, sea urchins, red-nosed fish, crayfish, and quite a few starfish. Han Fei asked, Have you noticed that this place is not as dangerous as you think? It's just that there are too many creatures hiding here. Zhang Xuanyu asked suspiciously, I'm afraid it's more dangerous than this place. Xia Xiaochan said, Actually, it's already very dangerous. How many regular great fishing masters can stay here for half an hour? Lu Renkuang added, I think this place should rank 4th, behind the piercing electricity zone. It's beautiful and less dangerous. Crack! Everybody was suddenly alarmed. They stomped on the ground and swam upward almost at the same time, only to see a creature that looked like a centipede with claws all over its body skimming past where they had just passed. Its 10-meter-long body drilled into the sand almost in the blink of an eye. Xia Xiaochan's face was slightly pale. Disgusting. I've never seen such a huge, hard-armored sandworm before. Han Fei blinked. Was that a sandworm? Did the sandworms here look like this? Their blue shells were glittering like scales. Also, why did the sandworms have such long legs? Suddenly thinking of something, Han Fei asked timidly, Are the sandworms here solitary creatures? Everybody felt a chill down their backs when they heard that. That's right. Was there only one big sandworm here? Hardly had Han Fei said that when the bottom of the sea surged, and one big sandworm after another broke out of the soil. The sandworm's head was its mouth. When it opened its mouth, its whole head seemed to be blooming, and it bit at Han Fei and the others with its big, black mouth. Shoot! Torrents of knives and swords. Water wall. Han Fei waved his hands with spiritual energy and condensed water walls. Together with Lu Renkuang's torrents of knives and swords, a sandworm was minced into pieces. However, a sandworm far away spurted spiritual energy from its mouth. The spiritual energy easily penetrated Han Fei's water wall. Zhang Xuanyu was targeted. At this moment, the long rod in his hand surged and suddenly rushed out, smashing the spiritual light into pieces. The seawater around them trembled, and everyone saw that the thing that had lost the spiritual light was actually a tooth. Zhang Xuanyu's face changed slightly. The attack power of his teeth is very strong, seemingly beyond the realm of a junior great fishing master. Hearing this, everyone's face changed slightly. A random insect has an attack beyond the realm of a junior great fishing master? Then let's kill our way out. Wait for them to chase after us? This thing can't be eaten. However, if he wanted to run now, it was already too late. Thousands of clam worms emerged from the ground, stretching all the way as if there was no end in sight. Han Fei's face changed greatly. With the 9-tailed mantis shrimp attached to him, he swept his 7 tails behind him and launched 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers at the same time. At the same time, he activated a spiritual energy protective cover and rushed out first. Xia Xiaochan and Luo Xiaobai followed closely. The 2 girls were not as good as Han Fei and Lu Renkuang in terms of defense, so they walked in the middle. Zhang Xuanyu was the most miserable. He had only killed 2 clam worms after using the 7-layered waves in Furious Sea. However, the dense spiritual energy fangs broke his defense repeatedly, and his protective cover broke 2 or 3 times. Zhang Xuanyu was speechless. Fei, spiritual energy. Han Fei killed all the way while using the spirit-gathering art to constantly transmit spiritual energy to everyone. Han Fei scolded, "What the hell are you doing? I'll lead the way and Lu Renkuang will cover the rear. You run forward with your golden water silkworm." Luo Xiaobai was surrounded by vines, like a walking giant flower. She could barely defend herself. Xia Xiaochan was too flexible and could go invisible, so she ran very fast. Only Zhang Xuanyu didn't know how to go invisible and was still using rod techniques. Although his attack was strong, clam worms, like snakes, could divert the force, which was very disadvantageous to him. Relatively speaking, Han Fei and Lu Renkuang were the most relaxed. The two of them were surrounded by swords and knives. Han Fei was fine. On Lu Renkuang's side, swords and knives were flying out of his armor box. The 1,000-blade turtle was like a walking meat grinder, and almost all the clam worms chasing after him were killed by him. Wenren Yu followed them extremely fast and jumped from one clam worm to another in the blink of an eye. She didn't seem to care about the poisonous fangs that shot at her because none of them could touch her. But at this moment, Wenren Yu was a little surprised. Han Fei and the others cooperated well, and Luo Xiaobai even had time to help Zhang Xuanyu block the attacks. The 5 of them lined up in a straight line, like a long dragon swimming in shallow water. Wherever they passed, there were broken bodies everywhere. But they needed a lot of spiritual energy to support such a burst of speed. As a result, except for Han Fei, the others' spiritual energy was almost exhausted in less than a moment. Han Fei could only transmit spiritual energy to them. As a result, their speed plummeted and more clam worms surrounded them. Han Fei stepped on the spirit-gathering array and fully activated the water control technique. Although he couldn't completely block the poisonous fangs, he gave them some time to recover. Luo Xiaobai said, "No, this speed is still too slow. We have to find another way." Xia Xiaochan said, "Use a fishing rod. Han Fei, your spiritual vision is the largest. Throw the rod and run. I'll hang on you and Xiaobai will hang on me." Han Fei scoffed. What an evil word. Lu Renkuang was anxious. "Hurry up, there are too many. How can there be so many clam worms?" Han Fei nodded. The role of the fishing rod was highlighted in this situation. Han Fei threw the rod straight and bypassed the clam worms in front of him like a swimming snake. Luo Xiaobai and the others threw the rod one after another and caught the clam worms one after another according to Xia Xiaochan's instructions. As Han Fei exerted his strength, everyone seemed to be riding an undersea roller coaster. Surrounded by blades, the 5 of them passed through the clam worms at an extremely fast speed. Everywhere it passed, it left a trail of wind and clouds in a mess. Wenren Yu stood behind them, the corners of her mouth slightly curling up. Xia Xiaochan reacted very quickly and was the first to analyze the role of the fishing rod in this situation. Han Fei's endurance was very strong, and he was better than others in the comprehensive use of spiritual energy. Lu Renkuang's attack was very strong and he had a great advantage in a group battlefield. Luo Xiaobai's comprehensive strength was stable and she was an all-rounder. As for Zhang Xuanyu, he was never weak in one-on-one battles, but he was obviously at a disadvantage in group battles. When he returned to school, he had to find a group combat skill for him. After a while, when Han Fei and the others ran out of the clam worms area, they were all biting the vines and gasping for breath. Zhang Xuanyu said, "I told you. It's the second most dangerous place. The soul-attracting jellyfish in the piercing electricity zone can hide, but the clam worms in the deep-sea jungle have no place to hide at all. Ordinary great fishing masters have no chance to run away." Luo Xiaobai nodded in agreement. In this situation just now, a spirit gatherer and an armorist are both indispensable. The conditions are very restrictive. It's true that there is a slim chance of survival. Han Fei cast the divine healing technique on everyone and then slowly said, "How far did we swim just now?" Xia Xiaochan nodded. "More than 100 kilometers. Han Fei nodded. The deep-sea jungle covered a total of 300 kilometers, and 1/3 of it was occupied by the clam worms. It was indeed dangerous. Han Fei said, let's take a break and wait for our injuries to heal and our spiritual energy to recover. Luo Xiaobai frowned. Where is the sea willow tree? Han Fei said awkwardly, it seems to be on the other side. Han Fei thought to himself, I didn't expect it to be like this down there. Originally, he just wanted to find a place with less seaweed to go into the water. However, there was no sea willow tree at all, but a bunch of clamworms. While talking, Zhang Xuanyu said, have you noticed that there is a lot less seaweed here, and even the seaweed vines are gone? Han Fei also noticed this, so he said, there must be something wrong. When we go over later, try to swim higher. Everyone nodded. Originally, they came down to see if there were any treasures. However, they didn't find any treasures, but found many creatures that couldn't be found anywhere else. Lu Renkuang said, I want to eat hot pot. Everyone? Everyone was speechless. You want to eat hot pot at this time? What are you thinking? Lu Renkuang patted his belly and said, there are no treasures down there. Is there also a rock-holding turtle here? Are the clam worms a treasure? Han Fei grinned. You'll believe me if I tell you the truth. If you have the ability to break through the nest of the clam worms, there will definitely be spiritual fruits. If not, I lose. Xia Xiaochan said, come on. Then don't take it. If you really want to go into the clam worm's nest, you won't be able to come back up. Han Fei shrugged. That's exactly what happened. While they were talking, they saw smoke and dust a kilometer away. They didn't notice it before, so they thought it was just that. But gradually, the seawater became turbid, which attracted their attention. Luo Xiaobai's expression changed slightly. Be careful, prepare for battle. Although he didn't see anyone, his spiritual perception detected that Luo Xiaobai was only 3 meters away on his left. Han Fei was a little surprised. Her spiritual perception was quite powerful. She could even see through the invisible Luo Xiaobai. He immediately tried to find Xia Xiaochan, but he could only vaguely see her shadow. She was still transparent. Han Fei wondered, is Xia Xiaochan's stealth ability strong? Or is the invisible jellyfish's ability weak? Han Fei didn't care anymore and quickly swam over. Just when Han Fei approached the bottom of the sea, those plate rays fluttered their seaweed-like bodies and rushed at Han Fei. Han Fei ignored them and said to Lu Renkuang, give me a stick. The armor box flashed and a stick shot at Han Fei. Han Fei took the stick and launched a spiritual energy explosion, and a rumbling sound came from the bottom of the sea. The powerful long tail of the plate ray was blown away and it spun in circles in the sea under Han Fei's attack. But this was nothing. One of the plate rays actually stood up, revealing the big mouth on its belly that looked like a baby's face. When it opened its big mouth, even the surrounding seawater was shaking, and a huge suction force pulled everyone. Han Fei's face changed slightly, and he was about to break this mouth with the million knife art. But before he took action, a spider crab was grabbed by vines and stuffed into the big mouth of the plate ray. The suction force suddenly stopped, and Han Fei almost laughed. Han Fei said in amusement, Xiaobai, you're good. Luo Xiaobai said, let's go. There are still a lot of rays. Han Fei nodded. Got it? Kuang, hurry up. You're the slowest. Lu Renkuang was speechless. I want to be faster. But I don't have Zhang Xuanyu's golden water silkworm. My spiritual beast is the mussel, and my contractual spiritual beast is the tortoise. How can I be fast? At this time, the all-rounder Luo Xiaobai took action. She wrapped the vines around Lu Renkuang at a swooshing speed. Han Fei was responsible for fighting the plate rays and cooperating with Luo Xiaobai to stuff the crabs. Their journey was more daunting than dangerous, and they were easier to deal with than the sandworms. But before they were happy for long, hundreds of plate rays gathered in front of them, and they were all stunned. However, Zhang Xuanyu said in a trembling voice, look, big ray. Han Fei quickly stepped forward, and then his heart was in his throat. The plate ray was more than 30 meters long, and with the length of its tail, it was 60 meters long. It looked like a fucking spaceship. His eyes almost popped out when he saw it. At this moment, there was no turning back. There were spider crabs as big as a mountain next to them, huge plate rays in front of them, spirit swallowing bugs on them, and plate rays behind them. They had to choose a side to fight. It was impossible for them to go back, but they could at least fight this side. If they went to the sandworms' territory again, they would be exhausted even if they didn't die. How could they go back to the sandworms' territory without seeing anything? Just when they were eager to make a choice, a huge crab foot suddenly stretched out of the spider crabs. Each crab foot was more than 10 meters long, and it hooked at the plate ray. Chapter 219. At this moment, the 5 of them were all dumbfounded. Even Wenren behind them looked solemn and was ready to take action at any time. Zhang Xuanyu asked, "Did we choose the wrong direction?" Xia Xiaochan said in distress, "It would be great if you could all go invisible." Luo Xiaobai said in a daze, "These two, they should be very strong, right? Why did they appear in the level 2 fishery?" Han Fei chuckled. "Isn't it normal? A race usually needs a king. Look at these two. Their heads are obviously the 2 big shots. Let's not do anything and let them fight first. It's best if both sides are injured and we can reap the benefits." "Everyone?" Han Fei said, "Are you stupid? These 2 big fellows were fighting to the point where they were half dead. If we kill them, how many meals will we have to eat?" "Everyone?" Lu Renquang gave Han Fei a thumbs up. Good idea." Wenrenyu's face was all black. Han Fei always said that Lu Renquang was a foodie, but he was actually a foodie. He even wanted to take these 2 big guys away. He knew that he couldn't take them away, so he wanted me to take them away, right? In fact, in Han Fei's eyes, the data of the 2 big guys was already clear. The exotic giant plate ray had an extra ability to swallow compared to the ordinary plate ray. It could strengthen its flesh and blood, spiritual energy, and strength by swallowing other creatures, and the mutant spider crab was also an exotic creature. It had one more ability than ordinary spider crabs, which was that it was fast and hard. Just like at this moment, when the crab's claws slashed out, a cold light burst out in the seawater. But the giant plate ray's tail knocked the surrounding small spider crabs and plate rays away. That wasn't the end yet. The giant plate ray took the opportunity to bite the crab's leg again and again. The crab's leg was directly bitten into 2. Han Fei thought it was over. In terms of combat power, the giant plate ray was stronger. But to his surprise, the mutant spider crab shot out its pincer and snapped the tail of the giant plate ray. Han Fei couldn't stay calm anymore. How could this giant pincer fly away so easily? How could it attack when it flew away? How the fuck could he take it back? But they had no time to think about it. Both sides seemed to be enraged, and both suffered great losses. Thus, he began to summon his underlings. The mountain-like spider crabs collapsed, and the plate rays quickly swam over from all directions. All of a sudden, they became turtles in a jar. Wenrenyu was ready to attack. Han Fei had an idea. "Don't panic. Dig a hole and run." Everyone was stunned. Digging a hole? Han Fei summoned the 9-tailed mantis shrimp. As a legendary mantis shrimp, Han Fei could kill it if it didn't know how to dig holes. 9-tailed mantis shrimp, dig a hole for me. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp was very excited when it first came out. How long has it been since it came out? However, when it saw the mountain-like spider crabs and the overwhelming number of plate rays, it didn't even let out a fart and immediately started digging. The 9-tailed mantis shrimp dug holes very fast. Back then, it had broken through layer after layer of the mine. Moreover, this seabed was not a mine, so it was a piece of cake for it. Han Fei shouted, "Keep up, keep up." Han Fei kicked Zhang Xuanyu into the hole. Now that the 9-tailed mantis shrimp was 5 or 6 meters tall, it was easy for him to dig a hole for 1 or 2 fatties. Lu Renquang was about to go in, when he was stopped by Han Fei. "The girls go first. Don't be in such a hurry." Luo Xiaobai and Xia Xiaochan didn't say anything and quickly entered the hole, followed by Lu Renquang. Han Fei wandered at the entrance of the hole, staring at the mutant spider crabs and the giant plate rays. Forget it. He looked at Wenren behind him, gritted his teeth, and got into the hole. He had to admit that the nine-tailed mantis shrimp was a very strong player. He could dig holes, fight, control, and fuck the sky. Han Fei was very satisfied. Wenren was surprised. Han Fei really knew how to choose contractual spiritual beasts. What kind of mantis shrimp is this? Not only does it have a tail, but it can also dig holes so fast. Within 10 minutes, it was already hundreds of meters away. Suddenly, Wenrenyu's face changed greatly. There was something underground. She had no time to care about anything else. With a bang, the spider crabs exploded and rushed out. Underground, Han Fei, who was lagging behind, hadn't caught up with Lirenquang and the others, when something in the soil suddenly hit his stomach. In an instant, Han Fei was knocked away like a cannonball and broke out of the soil. He was smashed out of the crowd of spider crabs, vomiting a mouthful of blood. The crowd of spider crabs was in an uproar. What flew in? Han Fei was dumbfounded. A swarm of spider crabs pinched him with their pincers, and his spiritual energy protective cover was crushed after only 3 seconds. When those big pincers pinched him, Han Fei dashed out of the crowd of spider crabs. As a result, Han Fei bumped into Wenrenyu. Wenrenyu's face changed. Seeing that Han Fei could still swim with 5 spider crabs a few meters long hanging on him, she was greatly relieved. Follow me later. I'll go first. Wenrenyu only said a few words before she rushed in the direction of Zhang Xuanyu and the others. Han Fei didn't look too good either. Something seemed to have happened up ahead. Han Fei hurried to find a hole, only to be whipped by an enormous crab leg when he was halfway through. Shoot! Han Fei twisted his body and barely dodged the crab leg. As it turned out, he was regarded as a dangerous person who sabotaged the internal stability of the spider crabs. Even the gigantic plate ray was stunned. Just a moment ago, another leg of a mutant spider crab had been lost. On the body of the giant plate ray, 2 large wounds several meters long were torn open. Not caring if the mutant spider crab could understand him, Han Fei said telepathically, "Don't hit me. I'm your teammate. I'm here to help." Seeing that the mutant spider crab slightly paused, Han Fei immediately got rid of the spider crabs on him and launched the 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers. Clang, clang, clang. It was true that spiritual weapons were powerful, but it depended on the opponent's level. Han Fei discovered, to his shock, that the 10 blue sea wandering dragon daggers were all stabbed into the crab's shell. Han Fei hurried to recall the blue sea wandering dragon daggers and said telepathically, "Brother, would you believe me if I said that I hit the wrong person?" The mutant spider crab certainly wouldn't listen to that. "I've been stabbed 10 times by you, every blade piercing into my flesh. Now, you're telling me that you hit the wrong person? Damn it. You're so mean. I'm going to kill you." Seeing that the mutant spider crab's claws were coming at him, Han Fei rushed to the gigantic plate ray at full speed. "Big Pot, I'm your ally? Hey, don't open your mouth. I'm grenade throwing." Immediately, the blue sea wandering dragon daggers were shot out again, leaving dozens of streaks of cold light in the seawater. Pooh! The dozens of daggers pierced through the gigantic plate ray and out of its back. Han Fei's eyes glittered. That's it. The gigantic plate ray felt excruciating pain and was interrupted for a moment, but it was infuriated and sucked again. Han Fei sneered. "I can't stab that damn crab, but can I stab you?" The blue sea wandering dragon daggers pierced into the gigantic plate ray's body again and stirred crab. In Han Fei's hand, a big seal smashed the gigantic plate ray to the ground, raising waves of mud on the seabed. Han Fei grinned. "Do you think the water-stirring seal is useless? With the strength of 10,000 kilograms and my full-strength strike, I can smash a hole in your body even if you're a mountain." Behind him, the mutant spider crab had already waved its claws. Han Fei hurried to jump into the dust and summon the demon purification pot. In the next moment, Han Fei rolled on the ground and dodged the attacks of the spider crabs with his hands and feet. Eventually, he dived into the cave and slipped away quickly. The mutant spider crab was dumbfounded. Where's the gigantic plate ray? Where's the fake teammate? Why is he gone? Han Fei ran forward crazily. I won't fight those with hard shells again. My spiritual weapon. But it didn't penetrate. It wasn't until Han Fei ran thousands of meters away that he saw countless vines whipping a serpent. Xia Xiaochan appeared and disappeared like a ghost. Now and then she cut long wounds on the serpent with her dagger. Lu Renkuang's storm of knives and swords stirred the serpent, making clanking noises. Zhang Xuanyu, on the other hand, was lying on the ground, covered in blood, holding the vines and breathing hard. In addition, in order to end the battle quickly, Han Fei let Little Black bite the ghost serpent's flesh when he chopped it up. Of course, because Wenren Yu was here, he didn't dare to go too far. Otherwise, if the ghost serpent died on its own before they even started fighting, there would be a lot to talk about. But even so, the ghost serpent still rolled in the cave, and the huge force made it impossible for Lu Renkuang to approach it. Luo Xiaobai said, "Be careful. It's going crazy. Kill it quickly." In the next moment, Han Fei took out his blue sea wandering dragon daggers, and Xia Xiaochan's red fire tricky lobster also entered the ghost serpent's body. Han Fei said anxiously, "Xia Xiaochan, don't burn it. This guy's entire body is a treasure, we have to bring him back." Xia Xiaochan was speechless. "Are you going to eat it too?" Han Fei shrugged. "Not me. This kind of strange serpent must have a special bloodline. You can see it from its horn. Also, the snake gallbladder is super nutritious. How can I eat it if it's burnt?" Xia Xiaochan snorted. "I still have to eat it." She recalled the red fire tricky lobster, which made Han Fei breathe a sigh of relief. He thought to himself, Little Black is still inside. What if I'm burned by you? At this time, Han Fei went all out. Before Xia Xiaochan could attack, he had to attack. Han Fei grabbed a sword scale and lay directly on the ghost serpent's body. Chilla! Scales were torn off one by Han Fei, and the ghost serpent bumped around in pain and circled in the cave. Han Fei sneered. "I've killed a dragon eel before. You think I can't kill you? You can't beat me without the super high voltage of the dragon eel." Han Fei tore off the scales one by one, and he didn't care even if his palms were cut. It was only level 30, which wasn't enough to hurt him. After tearing off dozens of scales, Han Fei stirred the blue sea wandering dragon daggers inside, and the ghost serpent's momentum was greatly reduced. At this time, Lu Renkuang stared at the ghost serpent's head and slashed it, and one of its eyes was poked blind. Xia Xiaochan was speechless. "Damn fatty, hit the snake where it hurts. What's the use of slashing at its head?" Xia Xiaochan stabbed the dagger into the snake's body. Then, the ghost serpent's scales propped up, and Xia Xiaochan gave up. But at this moment, Luo Xiaobai exerted her strength, and vines grew out of the ghost serpent's flesh and blood. After a while, the ghost serpent was finally dying, and everyone was so tired that they hugged the vines and gasped for breath. After a while, the ghost serpent was finally dying, and everyone was so tired that they held the vines and gasped for breath. Wenren Yu stepped over, glanced at them, waved her hand, and took the ghost serpent back. Turning her head, Wenren Yu said, "This is the second time I've attacked. You all know Zhang Xuanyu's weakness. However, you ignored him. If I hadn't taken action, his life might have been in danger. As the saying goes, when I take action for the third time, this experience will be over." Everyone looked ashamed. Lu Renkuang dragged his tired body and sat next to Zhang Xuanyu. "I'll walk in front of you next time." Zhang Xuanyu smiled. "That bastard wants to kill me? It's too early. If it weren't so sudden, it would have been beaten to the ground." Xia Xiaochan scoffed. "Don't brag. Don't you feel ashamed? Teacher, is the gallbladder of the giant serpent useful to Zhang Xuanyu? Why don't we dig it out and give it to him?" Wenren Yu raised her eyebrows. "It's useful. However, the most useful part of the ghost serpent is not the gallbladder, but the serpent pearl. The serpent pearl can improve one's physique. Are you sure you want to give it to Zhang Xuanyu?" Luo Xiaobai nodded. Xia Xiaochan said, "Forget it. Give it to him. Look at how weak he is." Next time something happens, he won't be the first to be knocked down. Lu Renkuang nodded. I'm okay with it. I have a shield. I'm not afraid. Han Fei shrugged. I'm okay with it too. Seeing that everybody was united, Wenren finally looked better. She extended her hand, and a green pearl appeared in her hand. Wenren said, the serpent pearl contains a trace of the flood dragon bloodline. Within an hour of eating it, your body will be as hot as fire. Fortunately, this ghost serpent isn't level 40, or you would have exploded. Zhang Xuanyu accepted the serpent pearl and said apologetically, well, thank you, everyone. Lu Renkuang clapped his hands. We're brothers. What are you thanking us for? Just eat it. Although Han Fei's divine healing technique had almost healed his wounds, Zhang Xuanyu's internal organs were seriously damaged. It would take at least a few hours to heal him with the divine healing technique. Therefore, Zhang Xuanyu swallowed the serpent pearl without any hesitation. Everybody stared at each other, wondering how the serpent pearl improved one's physique. At first, Zhang Xuanyu didn't show any reaction. After about 10 seconds, Zhang Xuanyu's face became redder and redder. After 100 seconds, he had become red all over, and his body was smoking. At this moment, Zhang Xuanyu gripped the vines, gritting his teeth and clutching the vines with both hands. The veins on his arms and neck were bulging, as if he were enduring excruciating pain. Lu Renkuang shivered. How painful is this? Han Fei patted his belly. You're a man. Why are you afraid of pain? You're tough. Xia Shaochan chuckled. Next time there's a ghost serpent, I'll give you the serpent pearl. Han Fei blinked with a smile. That's exactly what I wanted. Unfortunately, there isn't one. Half a minute later, the power of the serpent pearl seemed to have reached a peak. Zhang Xuanyu's hair was all standing up, and the seawater within 10 meters became boiling hot. Han Fei even controlled the seawater around him to change some cold water from time to time to make him feel more comfortable. Wenren said, this is no pain at all. There are many things in this world that are more intense than this. Han Fei shuddered when he remembered the scene in the hexagon starfish. He didn't want to experience it again. It was too horrible. 2 hours passed. Zhang Xuanyu collapsed on the ground and looked at everyone helplessly. Let me take a break. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.